Gabayan ninyo po kami sa aming mga gawain. Bigyan mo po kami ng talino at lakas upang magampanan po namin ang aming mga tungkulin. Buksan mo po ang aming isip at puso sa mga bagong kaalaman na aming matututunan. At nawa ay maging kagamit-gamit ang mga ito sa aming buhay at sa pagtulong sa aming kapwa. Ikaw po nawa ang maluwalhati sa lahat ng aming katagumpayan sa araw na ito. Ito lamang po ang aming dalangin sa pangalan ni Jesus. Amen.
Bansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, tewas ng sinangalan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nanagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng bangaw, ay hinatang tulang awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang islang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay di magtitindig. Lumang ang araw ng walhagin pagsinta, buhay ang langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
With the virtual presence of Senator Grace Poe, Senator Coco Pimentel, the Minority Leader, as well as the forthcoming physical presence of Senator J.B. Ejercito. This Blue Ribbon Committee is hereby called to order. Comsec, can you please call the names of the resource persons present here?
Your Honor, if I may proceed. Your Honor, from the Commission on Audit, we have Attorney Melissa San Miguel Salunga, Supervising Auditor, DOT Audit Group. DOTR Audit Group, I'm sorry. Kindly raise your hand, please, if you're here. There. Ms. Ninita Vitalion, as Audit Team Leader, LTO. They are assisted by Ms. Jenny Lynn Gonzalez, Audit Team Leader also. From the Securities and Exchange Commission, the chairperson is represented by Attorney Anne Kathleen Daguro, Supervising Securities Review Counsel. Attorney Daniel Luis Macalino, Chief Counsel, Enforcement and Investor Protection Department. Attorney Mary Grace Angan, Securities Counsel 2. And Miss Annette Isabel Tamayo, Securities Specialist. From the Department of Transportation, we have the Honorable Secretary Jaime J. Bautista. He is accompanied by Mr. Kim Robert De Leon, Undersecretary for Administration and Finance, Jesus Ferdinand Ortega, Chairman Office of Transportation Cooperatives, and Attorney Jonathan Hesmundo.
Attorney Ortega, can you be seated together with the other resource persons? Wala na bang upuan? Please proceed.
We also have Attorney Rainier Paul Yebra, Undersecretary for Legal Affairs and Chief of Staff of the Department of Transportation. From the Land Transportation Office, we have the Honorable Attorney Hector Villacorta, OIC Chief, LTO, Assistant Secretary for
Acknowledge the
Communication.
arrival of Senator J.B. Ejercito, also a member of this committee. Proceed.
We have Attorney Teofilo Guadis, former Chief of the LTO and currently Chairman of LTFRB. and Mr. Claudio Bonsol, former LTO Mid-Project Management Chief.
What about former ASEC Togade? Is he here?
He's not here, Your Honor. We had contacted him through the former office that he was connected with. We requested them to forward to him the letter's invitation, but he has not
Proceed.
responded yet. From the Bureau of Internal Revenue, we have Mr. Jethro Sabriaga, OIC Assistant Commissioner, Large Taxpayers Service.
What about ASEC Galvante?
The same situation, Your Honor, with ASEC Edgar Galvante. We also sent notices to him through the office that he former.
What about the rest of the names below the name of ASEC Galvante?
Yes,
All of them are absent? Antigua,
one
Petilla.
moment, sir. Yeah, yes, Your Honor. They're not also present, Mr. Rector.
So from number 10 to number 14, all absent?
Except Bonsol, Mr. Chairman.
Proceed.
From the Bureau of Internal Revenue, Mr. Jethro Sabriaga, OIC Assistant Commissioner, Large Taxpayer Service. He is here together with Mr. Antonio Mangubat, Revenue District Officer number 28 Novaliches, Ms. Betsheba Bautista, Revenue District Officer number 39 South Quezon City, and Ms. Mary Ann Canare, RDO number 41 Mandaluyong City. They are here together with Mr. Sabriaga, Your Honor. We also have from the same office, Revenue District Officer number 43, Pasig City, Linda Grace Sagun, Mr. Simplicio Cabantac, RDO number 67 of Legazpi City, Olivia Aviles, RDO number 49, Makati City. She's there, yeah. Brianna Katie De Los Santos, Assistant Chief Legal and Legislative Division of the BIR.
Daming tiga BIR. Yun sa joint venture, yun ba yun?
Yes, Your Honor. At
Proceed.
different tax jurisdictions.
Proceed.
And then Mr. Raymond Ipio, Southern Chief Legal and Legislative Division, Your Honor. From Dermalag, we contacted them through their SEC email address. They are here. I mean, Mr. Moll and Ms. Ocampo are not here, but the company has sent a lawyer.
Lawyer? Who is the lawyer? What happened to your clients? They are in Germany. So, were you authorized to represent them? Do we have a written authorization?
As of now, Mr. Chairman, because precisely as explained by the
So,
Your-
wrong address.
No, Your Honor. Your Honor, we sent the notices to an address that was supplied to the Securities and Exchange Commission. We relied on a government document where the address was located. And then the lawyer came here and I told him a while ago that we had to rely on that government required address that you
Were you
submitted.
notified? How were you notified, counsel?
Your Honor, please, was notified because
Isn't that part of your professional responsibility that upon receipt of a notice, the counsel, you should have informed immediately your client, your principal? But you're here. You're here. You were notified by the external auditor. You should have notified your principal. Why are you here? So who notified you?
From our point.
I won't argue with you, but part of your professional responsibility is to notify your principal because you were notified. And either directly or indirectly. That's why you're here.
I'm only here to observe it. Our joint venture partners were notified.
So notification on the part of the council is notification to the principal likewise. That's the advice of this chair. Notify your principal. I don't argue with you. Notify your principal immediately that we are conducting a hearing. We will have a second hearing and we will place you in contempt if you don't produce your principal here. Understood? You may sit down. Next.
From Holy Family Printing Corporation, Your Honor, an invitation was sent to Mr. Leopoldo Gomez, but they sent an excuse letter seeking a 10-day extension of the time to submit a counter affidavit and also to inform us through their lawyers that the principal, Mr. Gomez, will not be able to attend today, Your Honor.
The lawyer present here? I understand they submitted an affidavit, a sworn statement. I have in possession here a photocopy of the letter coming from the council. Vasquez, Bitanya, and Sibal Pulido law offices.
Yes, Your Honor. That's the same letter that I am looking at, Your Honor.
Same principle, same provision of your code of professional responsibility. Notification to the lawyer should likewise entail responsibility on the part of the council to notify the principal immediately. Next.
Your Honor, the next is from Microgenesis Software Inc., Ms. Rosana Choa. A letter was also sent to the committee by counsel Paul Cornelius Castillo stating that said person, Apple Sanchez, is abroad, but she promised that he promised on her behalf that she will be present in the next hearing.
Council of the Blue Ribbon, you're directed by the chair to seek a validation from the Bureau of Immigration that indeed the said principal went abroad. The same is true with the principals of Dermalog. So
Yes,
director,
Yes, Your Honor.
proceed.
From Stradcom Corporation, Mr. Anthony Kiambao, President and CEO.
Here. Thank you.
From Versontal Infrastructure Corporation, Mr. Silvestre Slice Natividad, President. And Mr. Dennis Macandog, CEO.
Who else? Other additional witnesses or resource persons?
No, Your Honor. Those are the persons who are present today, Your Honor.
Committee Secretary, you're directed to administer the oath to
Those,
present here. Please rise.
may I proceed, Your Honor? Those who are here, please rise. Those whose names are also called, please rise. Kindly raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding? Your Honor made a state that all said I do. Thank you. You may take your seats.
Thank you. Ang atin pong dinidinig ngayon ay patungkol sa dalawang resolusyon. Senate Resolution 147 na nagmula kay Senator Aquilino Pimentel, a resolution directing the Senate Committee on Accountability of the Blue Ribbon to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation on the alleged undue payment given by the Land Transportation Office to the joint venture of Dermalag Identification System, Holy Family Printing Corporation, Microgenesis, and Versontal builders. The second Senate resolution is Senate Resolution 348, introduced by Senator Amy Marcos, resolution directing the appropriate Senate committee to conduct an inquiry in aid of legislation into the alleged corruption involving the road transportation IT infrastructure project of the Land Transportation Office or the LTO. Ang atin pong diringgin ngayon ay patungkol sa nasabing dalawang Senate resolutions na final ni Senators Pimentel and Amy Marcos. We will not be ascribing any wrongdoing. We'll dig into the facts. We will not be issuing any legal opinion likewise during these proceedings. At the end of the proceedings, the committee will have a committee report which would entail the production of remedial legislation as well as possible filing of cases to the appropriate government agencies. Subalit ngayon, ang kailangan po nating marinig ay yung katugunan kung bakit una, nabayaran ng isang serbisyo na di umano hindi pa tapos, may deliver lahat yung dapat gawin, 80%, sangayon sa aking mga datos. Pangalawa, bakit patuloy pang nahihirapan ang ating mga kababayan, mga driver, sa pagkuha ng lisensya, napakaraming backlog. Pangatlo, bakit hindi pa rin naisa sa katuparan yung IT roadmap na halos 8 bilyon dapat? Bakit hindi pa rin maayos ang interconnectivity na matagal nang pinlano at matagal nang nabigyan ng kaukulang pondo? Panlima, masagot din yung mga red flags na binigay ng Commission on Audit. Kung nandito yung Commission on Audit, ilalabas natin mamaya yan. And the procedure that we would be following is this. First, we allow the proponents, Senators Pimentel and Marcos, to have their introductory statements. Thereafter, we'll have Senator Grace Poe and then Senator J.B. Ejercito. And in the order of questioning, we will question first. We will have a manifestation coming from the appropriate agency, in this case, the Department of Transportation. Thereafter, the LTO. Thereafter, take note of this, COMSEC. Thereafter, COA. And then we will hear from SEC, primarily on the question of whether a joint venture would have to be registered. After SEC, we'll hear from the Bureau of Internal Revenue as to whether the appropriate taxes were paid. And then we will hear from the private resource persons, Dermalog, not here, the other members of the joint venture, and then finally from Stratcom. Maliwanag po yan? So, we can now ask Senator Pimentel.
Thank you. Thank
Any
you, Mr.
introductory statement, Your Honor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be very brief because I'm online lang, Mr. Chairman. Una sa lahat, salamat po, Mr. Chairman, for acting immediately on the resolution I filed. And from our research, I think we need also to congratulate the COA, the Commission on Audit, because if not for their report, this matter or these matters or issues would not have been brought to our attention formally. Although, what made us really file the resolution, Mr. Chairman, was or were the complaints that we have received from the stakeholders or from the public transacting with the LTO. Kaya po tayo talagang napafile na ito resolution para malaman natin ano bang punot dulo nito. And then, in the process of finding out what really has happened, ang nakita po natin na ang ugat nito ay meron palang NEDA ICC approved project. to the tune of around 8 billion pesos for a anong tawag nun? Original Information Technology Software Program for the LTO. So, ito na ngayon ang resulta ngayon. So, and the issues na nakita ko po, Mr. Chairman, and hopefully ma-pursue natin sa hearings natin, was that there was apparently a splitting of the project. So, one issue. And then there were delays in the implementation of the project. I think not less than 3 years of delay ito, and there were numerous extensions given to the contractor. So isa pangalawang issue po 'yun. And there were advance payments made. Kailangan natin malaman ngayon kung fully paid na po ba ito, because the general principle under existing laws would be government should not pay yet for the contracts, especially if these have not been delivered or are not fully functional or functioning as intended. So, and the number 4 issue would be there have been some unjust payments which are not called for or justified, or maybe even overpayment. And then siguro one issue that we should not also overlook is how these contracts or this project or the splitting of this project has affected the operations of the LTO. Kasi marami po akong reklamong natanggap. Okay. But to the credit of the LTO, para rin maging patas tayo, meron din naman ako mga good news na mga good feedback na natanggap, that that the transaction was very smooth and swift. But overwhelmingly, reklamo po ang mas marami kong natanggap na masyadong mabagal, magulo, at inulit ang proseso yata. I think the old information or all the old data was not even made accessible under this project, Mr. Chairman. So, once again, Mr. Chairman, salamat po for acting immediately on our resolution, and we are here to find out the truth now without prejudging anything. Salamat po. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Minority Leader. Senator Grace po, may we hear your introductory statement if you have one?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for hearing this issue that affects millions of our countrymen. We all know that digitalization is the future of government transactions. Ngunit ang digitalization ng LTO ay tagtad pa rin ng lumang problema gaya ng backlog sa vehicle plates at license cards, mabagal at unserviceable na portal, mahabang pila, at matagal na turnover ng serbisyo. Bagamat may mga magagandang feedback sa ibang LTO offices, ang LTO digitalization plan ay chaotic pa rin. Kumbaga sa computer software, nasa beta phase pa rin. Ang laging nirarason ng LTO ay problema kay Dermalog. Pero sabi naman ng Dermalog, ayaw daw gamitin ng LTO ang features ng bagong Land Transportation Management System, LTMS. Halos kalahating dekada na ang bangayang ito sa pagitan ng LTO at Dermalog. Problema din ang dating service provider na Stratcom dahil patuloy pa rin nating binabayaran dito ang utang na minana pa sa nakaraang mga administrasyon. Kasabay nito, nagbabayad din tayo ng maintenance fees sa Dermalog para sa LTMS. We are paying for 2 providers but availing the service of 1. Ano bang update dito? Has Stratcom finally and completely turned over the database to Dermalog? If not, what is LTO doing? Ayon din sa COA, tinanggap na lang ng LTO ang core applications ng LTMS at binayaran ng Dermalog despite issues with the processes and functionalities. Is LTO aware of these deficiencies prior to acceptance and payment? Mukhang nagpabaya na naman ang ahensya dito. We also want to hear from Dermalog, whose reputation is now being questioned, not only in the Philippines, LTMS, but for its services in other countries. Nagkakaproblema daw sa Indonesia, Haiti, at Angola ang biometric system nila. Ano na naman ang status sa LTO? Mr. Chairperson, we thank the committee for finally hearing the issues hounding the LTO's digitalization plan. Para naman matuldukan ang issue nito, ilang bilyon na ang binabayaran natin dito pero hanggang ngayon hindi pa rin natin matanggap ang tunay na benepisyo na dapat ginagawa ng mga kontratang ito. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Senator Grace Po. Senator J. Versito, your introductory statement, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Anyway, I'm here also to listen because this is really disturbing also, Mr. Chair, because our government has been spending so much in investing in the computerization, digitization. No, magkakaroon po tayo ng sistema, papalitan, tapos ganito ang nangyari. No? That, I think this is what really happened with regards to LTO's computerization. Kaya nagkakaganto-ganto problema sa license, plate number at lahat na. Because we want to find out what was the reason why there was a change of system. Stramcom was I don't know, 2003 pa yata ito. And then it was changed to Dermalog, supposedly to improve, but there's no improvement at all. It's really disturbing yung mga sinabi po ni Senator Coco Pimentel, Senator Grace po, that there were really shortcomings. No? Hindi po nakapag-deliver ang Dermalog, but we are already paying. I mean, ang naano ko, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask later on, meron ako nakita rito, we're already paying for maintenance. The government is already paying for the maintenance for Dermalog. Ganong hindi pa natatapos na di-deliver ng buo yung sistema. So maraming there's a lot of things that have to be clarified, no? And I agree with you, Mr. Chair, that dapat yung representative Dermalog should be here, no? They should be compelled to be present next hearing. At hindi po biro, Mr. Chair, ang perang ginastos natin dito is about 8 billion we're talking about. So I would like to commend Chairman, the Chair for for scheduling this hearing right away, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ejercito. The committee secretariat is instructed to get the real address of Dermalog so that for the next hearing, Dermalag will be present. I would like to shoot the first question. Walk us through, Secretary Bautista. Walk us through. Ano po ba itong road transportation IT road transportation infrastructure. That's one. And number two, yung talagang sasagutin natin tanong dito, marami nakikinig pong kababayan tayo. Nagbayad na ba tayo bago ho na kumpleto yung proyekto? At bakit? I think you can answer that. Secretary Bautista, you have the floor. And our undivided attention likewise.
Thank you po, Chairman Tolentino. No? On your question about the LTO infrastructure and information system project, it was originally conceptualized by then the Department of Transportation and Communication, now the OTR, as early as 2010. No? It was approved by the Investment Coordination Committee of the National Economic and Development Authority Board on March 22, 2012, and the corresponding multi-year contracting authority, or MICA, was issued by the Department of Budget and Management on December 12, 2012, amounting to 10,800,477,242 pesos.
Secretary, it's 10 billion, not 8 billion.
10 billion po ang inapruban ng Department of Budget and Management in 2012, no? Covering the period po from 2013 to 2022, no? During the procurement process, the project was divided into two components as follows, no? Yung first component po is the LTO frontline services with an approved budget of 3.4 billion pesos, no? And It was entered into po in favor of the joint venture of Dermalog Identification Systems, Holy Family Printing Corporation, Microgenesis Software Corporation, and Bersontal Builders Incorporated. Yan po yung first component. No? The second component po is the LTO for LTO internal operations, no? Amounting to 2,631,432,632.81 in favor of various suppliers covering various lots or deliverables. No? So ang total amount po is 5,778,424,629.20 no. This fund po was downloaded from DOTR to LTO no. Ang pinanggalingan po nito ng source po ng fund is from the General Appropriation Act of 2015 amounting to 198 million pesos, 2016 2.5 billion pesos, 2017 2.3 billion pesos, 2021 1.2 billion for a total downloaded amount price po or money of 5.195 billion pesos no? Downloaded from DOTR to LTO. No? In order to fully cover the total contract obligation of the two components, LTO required an additional allotment of 583,380,000, which may be charged against the available 1.2 billion under the General Appropriation Act of 2022. Yan po ang pinanggalingan nitong programa po ng LTO Infrastructure and Information Systems Projects. No? And ang nabayaran po sa first phase, yung LTO Frontline Services, ay inabot po ng 2.311 billion no? From the original contract amount of 3,146,991,996, meron pong nabayaran from 2019 up to June 30. Ang first payment po was on August 11, November 8, 2019 for 1,066 million pesos or 67 million pesos. And then 2020, 131 million. That was December 1, 2020. December 21, 2020, 131 million pesos. No? In 2018 po, merong dalawang payment in February. 72 million, 98 million. No? Ang total po na nabayaran until 2020, last payment po was on June 30, 2022, no? For 55 million. For a total payment po of 2,311,345,106. Yan po ang lahat ng nabayaran ng LTO sa Dermalog.
Thank you, Secretary. Secretary, I have here in my possession a sworn statement dated June 7, 2023, yesterday, signed by Jaime J. Bautista. Is this your affidavit, Secretary?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Comsec, can we make this as Exhibit A for the committee Exhibit A? In the said sworn statement which you executed yesterday, you mentioned something about the request, one of the duties of DOTR under the memorandum agreement is the request for the updating of the MYOA, Ano po yung MYOA?
Yun ho yung
Multi-year
multi-year obligation authority.
Yes.
Multi-year obligation authority.
Correct. And under existing laws, MYOA would require presidential approval. Am I correct?
DBM approval po.
Not presidential approval? I think it has got to be approved likewise by the president. So is there any approval coming from
requested.
the president, or do you have any copy of an approval coming from the DBM?
No approval yet, your honor, no, but we have requested po from NEDA their approval or the recommendation to approve this MYO.
So hindi pa rin na-approve but nagbabayad tayo, di ba? Nagbabayad. And under also your sworn statement, it would appear na ang nag-i-implement talaga is the LTO,
Opo.
not the department.
Yes.
So this was decentralized. This was decentralized as early as 2018. So LTO na yung may hawak, contrary to your existing policies right now, which would entail centralization of, ano po yung threshold amount?
50 million.
50 million. 50 million sa department level na po yan.
For review po ng department.
For review.
Yeah.
Pero under this agreement, memorandum agreement, napunta po sa LTO na decentralized. Nung kayo po ay umupo, hindi ba ho sinentralize nyo ulit? Hindi nakasama to?
Hindi po ito kasama. Kasi it's already being implemented, no?
So even though the balance is more than 50 million, LTO na rin.
Opo.
So
Awarded na po sa kanila, no?
but payment has not yet been completed. Payment
Yes.
has not yet been completed.
Hindi pa po. Hindi pa.
So lumalabas po dito na ang department ay hindi talaga ang may hawak ng nag-oversee lang kayo pero binigay supervision and control kayo over the LTO pero yung binigyan nyo ng freedom of action. Ano po ibig sabihin nito? Initiative and freedom of action has always been encouraged with the DOTR's sectoral agencies. This is number 7 of your sworn statement.
Yes po, opo.
So ini-encourage nyo yung initiative and freedom of action, but a while ago you admitted na sinecentralize nyo yung 50 million above.
Actually po, yung centralization is only for review.
Review.
For review lang po. So they are the ones doing everything, but we want the department to know what they are doing, no?
So that's your interpretation of initiative and freedom of action.
Mm.
Okay, so you stand by your sworn statement issued for 24 hours ago.
Yes, sir.
So again, my second question, which is probably direct to the point. Bakit po nakapagbayad nang hindi pa tapos yung proyekto?
Ang LTO po siguro ang dapat sumagot nito, no?
No,
Yung
but
pagbabayad.
before LTO answers, ginawa ko yung pegging order kanina. Yung pagbabayad po ng advance would now entail presidential approval. Meron tayong batas doon.
Mm.
Kailangan po ng approval ng Office of the President.
Yun,
Advance payment.
advance payment po. ng
Advance
contract.
payment, opo. So pag nagbayad tayo, kailangan may presidential approval. Sa inyo po bang patakaran, dumidiretso ang LTO sa Office of the President o dumadaan sa ang secretary po ang dapat mag-request sa Office of the President?
Milestone payment.
Yung contract po natin na ginawa ng LTO and Dermalog, ang payment po is based on certain milestone, no?
Hindi po
Ah.
advance payment.
Hindi po siya advance payment. No?
My question has something to do whether the performance made by the other party is sufficient enough to entail an appropriate payment.
Payment.
Kung kagaya po ng sinabi ni Senator Grace po, na hindi pa nakalagay din dito sa inyo, sa inyong affidavit, number 8, we reiterate that no project is perfect. So kahit hindi pa ho tapos ito, minarapat na bayaran dahil yun ang sa kontrata. Tama mo ba yun?
Ganun po. Yes po.
Kaya na-flag down ng COA. Senator Pimentel, do you have a question? Parang wala. Senator Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, we cannot see your face. Ayan. Thank you, sir.
Thank you po. Basta ang nakukuha ko, klaro kay Secretary, na hindi pa fully paid ang Dermalog. And if we look at the total amount paid to the Dermalog joint venture, it is around 2 billion plus.
2.3 po.
2.3, apa. So sa mata ng ahensya at ng departamento, tayo po ba may utang na sa Dermalog joint venture? Utang kasi 3 plus billion po yata itong ating kontrata, 3.1 billion if I'm not mistaken.
Your Honor, meron hong balanse pero lumalabas dito sa record na meron pang hindi na deliver ang Dermalog.
Okay. So yung ating palang in-order na software system sa Dermalog joint venture could function even if hindi pa siya fully delivered. Ganun po ba ang pagka-design ng ating software na hinihingi?
Ang lumalabas po, merong mga applications na functioning, no? And
Correct.
merong mga applications that still need to be completed, no? Pero
Correct.
kung doon sa mga functions na already are available, no? Ginagamit na po ito ng LTO, no?
So in that sense, Mr. Secretary, we can say na separate or compartmentalized po yung mga applications. I mean sa standalone, one core application can function even if another core application is not yet finished. Ganun po ba ang pagka-design ng ating software na in order?
Yun po ang lumalabas dun sa result ngayon, ano? Meron pong mga functions, merong mga functionalities that are already available, no? But there are also some other functionalities that need to be completed, no?
Oo nga. Ganun po nga. Pero that means to say the LTO and of course the department which has supervision over the LTO is your department. Meaning to say yung LTO was happy or satisfied with the some of the core applications already delivered in their function. Ganun po ba yun?
For example po, yung issuance ng license, no? Maganda po yung naging resulta, no? You can get your driver's license in 15 minutes to 30 minutes, no? Unlike po nung past na medyo matagal, no?
Okay po. Pero meron din kasing reklamo na matagal nga daw. So better pay attention to those complaints kasi kami naman as elected public officials, we also react to the public's feedback given to us. Meron pong sa COA report. That's why I want to congratulate COA kasi kung wala itong COA report, kulang po yung aming source of information. Meron pa daw 70 open issues dun sa LTMS version 2.3.0. And then meron pa daw 25 issues concerning the core applications which have remained unresolved as of December 9, 2021. So, kumusta po yung mga so-called unresolved issues or open issues as of today, Mr. Secretary?
Maybe we can ask LTO to respond, no? Si,
Sure.
through the chair.
Who is the LTO now?
Ah,
Who is supposed to be the LTO?
sinong pwedeng sumagot sa LTO?
Isn't it a fact that we have a new OIC for the LTO?
Ang OIC po natin si ASEC Hector Villacorta, no?
Is he
But this can
knowledgeable
be
now?
answered po by Mr. Claudio Bonsol, no?
Mr. Claudio Bonsol is the assistant OIC? Ano?
Hindi po.
MIB.
MID chief po. Siya information po. Management information.
This and you're under oath. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon po. Good afternoon, everyone. Regarding po dun sa question na whether na-address na po yung mga issues sa version 2.3 to point something po. Kasi we recently launched po yung aming version 2.5.1 addressing a lot of issues po. Sa ngayon po kasi ang na lang po namin is yung aming nagiging kumbaga ini-implement po is yung LTMS initial registration po. Konsya po sir, ito na po yung aming ini-implement ngayon.
What is initial registration?
This is the car initial registration po.
Kotse.
Opo. Ito na lang po yung remaining module na kailangan namin tapusin. Nagpa-parallel testing, nagpa-parallel implementation na po kami.
You're referring to brand new cars or even second-hand cars?
Brand new cars po.
Go ahead. Yun na lang ang kulang. Pakatapos,
Completed na po ang LTMS.
Your Honor, Senator Pimentel?
Yes.
Would that suffice?
Siguro malaman natin yung kasi 3.1 billion pesos itong in-order natin na software na ginawa specifically supposed to be for the LTO's needs and functions. And there are so-called core applications. Dapat malaman siguro natin ano ba yun na driver's license. Kasi sa sagot ni ng ating resource person, Mr. Chairman, merong difference yata ang renewal kaysa sa first time registration. So ano ba yun? Sa driver's license, original registration, kasali ba dyan? Renewal, and then sa motor vehicle, ano pa ba? Ano pa ba yung mga core applications na in-order natin para yung mga marurunong sa software, yung merong exposure sa software, malaman nila kung reasonable ba yung charge para dun sa mga applications na ibibigay po ng Dermalog.
Mr. Chair.
In due time siguro, Mr. Chairman, malalaman natin yan. I give way to Senator Grace po, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Grace po, you're recognized.
Thank you to the minority leader. Just an enjoiner, may punto ang minority leader. Kasi hindi naman tayo talaga technical dito, but we're trying to see if the money of the people is actually properly spent. So LTMS stands for exactly the meaning of LTMS is Land Transportation Management System. So ano ba ang mga kasamang deliverables dito? Kagaya nga ng sinabi ni Senator Coco Pimentel, ano ba yan? License, renewal, registration, new registration of cars. Can you please enumerate for the body what will be included in these deliverables of Dermalog?
Who will answer? Is it Secretary Bautista or the LTO representative? LTO, can you answer?
The LTMS po or the Land Transportation Management System po consists of 7 core modules. The driver's licensing system, the revenue collection system, the online application and appointment system, the executive information system, the motor vehicle inspection and registration system, and then the law enforcement and traffic adjudication system.
So all
And
of
the
that,
public portal po.
so lahat yan kasama dito sa sistemang ito. Dapat nagagawa ito ng LTMS. At sinasabi mo, isa na lang ang kulang nila. Ano nga yung kulang na yon?
sa motor vehicle sa MBIRS po, isa po siyang parang submodule po ng MBIRS, which is the initial registration. Pero actually, this motor vehicle initial registration system po was already delivered na po based on TOR. What we are implementing na lang po ngayon is the enhanced version.
Ano yung enhanced version?
The enhanced version po is with additional functionality na hindi po present doon sa naunang version, which is inasa sa TOR po.
Okay, so kunyari ako magpaparehistro ng sasakyan na bago, dito na ako dadaan sa portal na to.
Come again po, ma'am.
Kung magpaparehistro ng bagong sasakyan, dito na dadaan sa LTMS system na to. Pwede na to online.
Hindi pa po siya online. Sa ngayon po, ang nangyayari pong registration is on-site pa rin po.
So
Pero
on-site,
Opo.
pero mas mapapabilis dito sa sistema na ito.
Opo, kasi centralized na po yung system. At the same time po, mas mabilis na po yung proseso niya ngayon kasi may mga additional functionalities po.
Okay. Matanong ko lang, Mr. Chair, kasi dati na rin ito naging issue. Dati nagkaroon ng sinasabi na pagkukulang o magkukulang ang pag-issue ng driver's license. Alam ko, narinig niyo yon dahil nga daw hindi naagapan ang pag-procure dito, kaya yung mga driver's licenses ay magiging temporary pa lamang. So, ang tinuturo nilang dahilan ay iba-iba. Merong mismanagement ng LTO leadership, meron din nagsasabi dahil daw sinentralize na ang procurement above 50 million for LTO for DOTR to give a go signal and to study, nagkaroon tuloy ng delay dahil ang DOTR ay hindi daw nag-release kagad ng approval. So may I ask directly from our Secretary what the issue is here? Because it seems that there was a resignation in the LTO precisely because of this, disagreement, miscommunication. So number one, I'd like to know who actually dropped the ball. Number two, I'd like to know, is there really going to be still backlog on the issuance of new driver's licenses? Because I think these are all connected with the type of services being provided by the DOTR and the LTO.
Secretary Bautista, you can reply.
Thank you, Your Honor. No, yun pong procurement ng ID license po should have started as early as August of 2022 po, no? When the NEP was submitted to Congress, no? Pwede na pong mag-start yung early procurement ng mga ID cards, no? Unfortunately po, hindi po nagawa yan ng LTO, no? And noon pong January 25, 2023, we issued a special order, no? Requiring the sectoral offices of the Department of Transportation, no, to have the procurement of 50 million and above through the central BAC of the DOTR, no. So that was issued po January 25, no, and during that time LTO has no active procurement, no. So inabot po siya nung aming special order, no. And we requested LTO to submit to us the terms of reference, no. So January 25 po yung aming special order, no. Nung January 31 we issued a memorandum to LTO to submit to us the terms of reference, no, so that the central back of the OTR can conduct the procurement, no. Unfortunately po, sabi nila hindi pa sila ready, no. So we gave them a deadline of February 15, no? And hindi pa rin po nila na-submit yung terms of reference, no? And it was only in February 28, no? 2023 that they submitted, no? A one-page PPMP or Project Procurement Management Plan, no? So yun po, and na-submit po nila sa amin yung terms of reference March 21, 2023, no? Kaya po doon pa lang nag-start, ibig sabihin, that's the only time that LTO is ready to start the procurement, no? Kasi po kung ready na sila, dapat as early as January when we requested them to submit the terms of reference, dapat naibigay na nila yan sa Central Bids and Awards Committee of the OTR, no? So
Okay,
yun po ang
Mr. President, so with the timeline given to us by the good secretary, August 2022, there was already a pending problem on the possible shortage of the driver's licenses. Am I correct?
pwede na pong pwede na pong mag-early procure considering that the NEP was already submitted to Congress and kailangan na rin pong mag-procure dahil mauubos na rin yung mga IDs which are needed for 2023, no?
Sino po namuno ng LTO noong August 2022?
Nung 2022 po si ASEC Guadis po ang
Okay, so si Asek Guadis noong August 2022, kailan nag-assume ang bagong kalihim after Guadis?
sa November po, November 2022.
November 2022. But at that time, you still haven't issued a special order that
Wala pa po.
the OTR has to review any procurement above 50 million. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So LTO at that time could have already procured the necessary licenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I would like to ask, with the permission of the chairman, I would like to ask Chairman Guadis to answer this issue because he was there in
Asek
August
Guadis is present.
2022.
Asek Guadis is around, yes. Senator Grace, you may proceed. Is physically present here.
Okay, so Chairman Guadis or Acting Chairman Guadis, August 2022 pa lang pala, alam na ninyo na may kinakailangan tayong gawing order para hindi tayo magkulang ng lisensya. So bakit hindi ninyo ginawa yon? Kasi November pa dumating yung kapalit mo.
May I answer, Mr.
Sid,
Yes, please.
First, we were cognizant that there is a need to purchase these licenses. So we have already convened a technical working group headed by Director Francis Almora. In fact, we have already nearly finished the process and we already are about 80% complete with our recommendations for the type of license and the to be procured. However, by November 15, I was replaced, so I turned over whatever we have done to the incoming Assistant Secretary for his appropriate actions. In effect, Madam, Mr. President, we did do our job during my 3.5 months of stay with the Land Transportation Office. We have commenced with the technical working group. We are about 75% done when I was replaced as head of the Land Transportation Office.
Sir, yung lisensya, ganun ba talaga katagal ang study? Kailangan 3 months? Hindi ba yan recurring order?
Mr. President, it is not a recurring order because every time we procure a license, we would revisit the terms of reference. We look for cheaper sources and then we review the materials used in the driver's license, the
Okay,
plastic
when you
card.
submitted, sir, just in the interest of time, mabilis lang ako magtanong para mabilis din yung sagot. So, nung sinubmit mo yan, Doon sa pumalit sa yung secretary nung November, anong ginawa niya?
I am not aware, Mr. President. We
So
just
you were
submitted
not,
everything.
were you also still connected with the LTO there as an assistant? What was your position then?
After November 15, wala na po ako sa LTO, Mr. President.
Okay, so you're not
Mr.
privy.
Chair.
Okay, kasi ang lumalabas na issue dito is tinatapon nung nakaraang administration ng LTFRB sa DOTR kasi kayo, sinasabi nila, ayaw ninyong, parang gusto ninyo kayo lang ang mag-approve pag mas mataas sa, but 50 million and above. So kaya natagalan lahat yan. Yun pala, dito sa sinabing report ng ating kalihim, ilang beses din nila hiningi ang terms of reference at hindi binigay until March 21. So, kung talagang pinag-aaralan nito, dapat matagal na, meron na silang terms of reference because they were already intending as early as November or maybe a month over November to procure. So now, nakita na natin at least mas malinaw na yan. Ano ba ang status ngayon? Meron ba tayong shortage dahil hindi tayo nakapag-procure? Or kung nakapag-procure na tayo, aabot ba na hindi na tayo magkakaroon ng pagkukulang?
Before you proceed, Chairman Guadis, nung napalitan ka, wala ka bang transition report doon sa pumalit sa'yo? Ito yung ginawa namin sa technical working group. Either ipagpatuloy mo yan o reviewin mo yan. Wala kang ginawang gano'n. Copy furnish the Secretary of the DOTR.
Mr. Chair, the person who replaced me took his oath on a Monday, and on a Tuesday nandun na po siya sa office ko and requested that I vacate my office on a Wednesday. What I just did is to just submit the documents to his team, specifically our studies, and with the request that they monitor the license and as well as the plates. Yun lang ho ang huling habilin ko before I
So
left
walang
the office.
turnover, walang official turnover.
There was a turnover, Mr. Chair. Binigay ko sa kanya po, binigay ko yung mga documents sa team nila. That is all that I did, Mr. Chair.
You can now answer the question of Senator Grace Poe.
Yes. So now, is there a shortage still of driver's licenses and what can we expect moving forward?
Your Honor, right now po meron ng shortage ng driver's licenses, no? As of today, I think we have only around 70,000 ID cards available nationwide, no? And we're reserving this for yung pong mga OFW, no? Kasi po kailangan po nila yung mga IDs na to, no?
Ang shortage po, Secretary, is ganun karami po? Yung backlog?
Ang backlog ho nito ay inaabot na siguro ng mga 700,000, no? 690,000 po ang backlog, no? Although ang ginawa po ng LTO is they extended the validity of licenses that became due starting April 24, no? Until October 31, no? So isa po 'yan sa mga backlogs, no? But ang ini-issue po nila ngayon dun sa mga bagong drivers na kumukuha ng
Papel na
driver's
lang,
license
papel na
is
lang.
initially an OR po, no?
With the permission of Senator Grace Poe, you appeared before the House Committee on Transportation last May 2, 2023, this year. And from the records I have here, as of May 2, the total backlog was just 234,149.
Mhm.
Just last month. Ngayon po, June, after a month, 700,000 na. So naging 500,000 yung increase. Paano po nangyari yon kung merong may papel na nadagdagan ng 500, kalahating milyon na nadagdag, Secretary?
Yan
Nababawasan, dumami pa.
actually po hindi na nakapag-issue ng mga driver's license po dahil na-extend na yung validity, no? Pero we consider po na these are backlogs already, no?
So the current figure now is 700,000 from 234,149. So do we expect another 500,000 jump next month?
Uh,
Tuloy-tuloy na yan. Tuloy, 1,000,000 na yan mahigit.
right now, sir, we are finalizing the procurement of, there's an ongoing procurement, no? There is already the lowest bidder. We're just doing a post-qualification of the lowest calculated bid, no? And if we will be able to finalize this, if we will qualify the lowest bidder, no, we should be able to get maybe 500,000 licenses in July, no?
Mr. Grace po, you can regain the floor.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, napaka-basic po kasi talaga ng lisensya. Tapos, March pa nagkakaroon ng procurement, hanggang ngayon wala pa rin, final bidding process pa lang, hindi pa rin tapos. So, nakikita talaga natin na may pagkukulang dito. Ano ba naman yan? So, sana naman ay bilis-bilisan na natin. May mga emergency procurement naman, di ba? At siguro pinapaalala ko rin, yung lowest bidder is not necessarily the best provider of service. Again, track record is really important, capability, etc. And also the speed with which they will be able to provide those licenses. Kung tayo nga pumapasok sa kumpanya, ang bilis-bilis makakuha ng ID, I understand this is probably more complicated, but there's really no excuse for this. So I maybe at a special time, I'd like to request for a meeting with the Secretary to really get to the bottom of this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Grace po. Senator Hercito, you have queries directed to DOTR or LTO before we jump to COA and the Securities and Exchange Commission?
Yes, Mr. Chair, no? I'd like to, siguro, yung query kanina ni Senator Coco, yung issue, no? Connected. Parang yung LTO's generosity in extending deadlines, no? Dito sa napansin ko, anybody can answer siguro sa LTO kasi Sec Bautista, assume, but siguro yung history, and its amendment of payment schedules, no? For example, schedule AOP 219-A-001 dated 15 October 29, the LTO recognized that the go-live is not yet possible in the months to come. The percentage of completion stood at 34%, Mr. Chair. And yet, LTO amended the terms of payment as specified in the bid bulletin number 3 and allowed the payment of 1,066,985,851, which should have been made only after the project has gone live and the percentage of completion of 41% has been achieved. So tanong ko lang, Mr. Chair, bakit masyadong generous ang LTO in terms of amending itong mga payment scheme na dapat 41% saan na before making that payment, inamend nila when it was only at 34%. Anybody can answer siguro, lalo na mga may history, Mr. Chair. Who knows the history of this project?
LTO?
Mr. Chair, I only assume January 3 of 2022. So the history of the payments and the amendment of payments, hindi ko po
Excuse from answering that because that's my birthday. Meron ba bang ibang LTO?
Thank you, sir.
Meron pang ibang LTO who's knowledgeable? Secretary Bautista? Anyone with a sufficient background on this to answer the query of Senator J.B. Hercito?
We'll ask po si Chairman Guadis. Yeah.
Chairman Guadis, ikaw na yung LTO noon, di ba? During that time.
No, Mr. Chair, I only assume ng July 28 and after 3.5 months I was replaced, sir. But I have a knowledge of the history subject to submission of documents later. What I know, sir, is that initially the
collection.
yes, being with the LTO for the last 12 years in a different capacities, Mr. Chair. what I
So ano po yung sagot nyo doon? Briefly. Ano yung...
briefly, sir, the contract was originally for 6 months deliverable yan. Then it was amended 12 times. So in fact, there was an amendment of the contract on 12 occasions. So nagkaroon ho ng problema because of these amendments, and which I would say may give undue advantage to the government. That's my personal opinion on the matter, Mr. Chair. There were
What
12 extensions.
Mr. Chair, ang tanong ko, what advantage would the government get by advancing na we have not the application has not reached the 41% completion, pero in advance na ng in-amend ng 34% to make already the payment. What advantage would the government get there?
There is no advantage. That's why what I was telling is this is an undue advantage against the interests of the government when the contract was amended several times.
That's correct. Sorry for I didn't get your... anyway, ang ano ko lang doon, LTO, Mr. Chair, has been very generous, no, in the past. So I hope that all of these mistakes will not happen anymore under the new administration. Of course, with Secretary Bautista at the helm, sana hindi na mangyari ito. It's obviously advantageous to the provider, no? Yung pong nakakuha ng kontrata. And next, Mr. Chair, if before we move to the COA, yung kaninang bring up ko po, yung LTO paid for maintenance of core applications for the period 2019, although dati pa ito, to 2020, even though the delivery of the core applications was accepted only in November 2020. Mr. Chair, nagbabayan na ang gobyerno ng maintenance provider services 1 year before it was delivered. So, paano nangyari yun? Di ba dapat ang maintenance should only be delivered right after the project is completed or the software was delivered, kumbaga na-deliver na talaga. Pero nauna pa yung maintenance eh. And it show the document should show payments of 135,657,809 for maintenance expenses that should have accrued only after LTO accepted the delivery. So ito yung I'm not trying, but this is an investigation, but moving forward, we have to, Mr. Chair, we have to, I think we really have to refrain from having this, no? Siguro under the new secretary and the LTO, yung mga ganito. But it also, of course, it will shorten the agreed duration kasi 1 year advance na. Wala pa nga yung delivery, may maintenance na. So, paano kaya ito nangyari? Si Guadi siguro, kung may knowledge ka ba rito, dahil ikaw na lang yata yung holdover dito.
No, Mr. Chair, I was never involved. I was in a different position then. I was the regional director in Region 1 when this occurred. But of course, I have some knowledge being with the Land Transportation Office.
So who can answer? Who is the repository of knowledge here?
Mr.
Anybody?
Chair, we have
Yes, Senator
here,
Grace.
somebody who we've worked with the Commission on Appointments. He's a very mild-mannered, very kind, and at the time, very efficient also. So at the Commission on Appointments, I'd like to know if he's been briefed, Acting Secretary Villacorta, about what's happening in the LTO. Kasi lahat itong mga issue na ito, alam kaya niya yung mga nangyayari ngayon kasi di ba si Chairman Guadis nasa LTFRB na ngayon. Siya na ngayon ang acting LTO. Tinanong ni Senator Coco kung nung umalis si Chairman Guadis, nagbigay ba siya ng overview ng mga nangyayari sa LTO. Nagawa ba yan sa'yo ng iyong predecessor? And what is your understanding of the situation now, Acting Secretary Villacorta?
Sec Villacorta, you can answer.
And maybe answer also the question of Senator JV.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Senator Grace. We had coffee for 15 minutes before turnover last June 1. And except to say that I should not have taken the post, there was no turnover of documents or any lecture on these are the things that are pending. So I just took it as a matter of a remark that he was kidding me, and but I just took over from him. So I just said, I just smiled when he said, "You are bound to fail in this office." But I like challenges, and even if I'm just there for 5 days, on the first day I already went around and asked a possible fixer, how much is renewal? And he said 2,000 po. So from that alone,
Sec Villacorta, the question of Senator Grace po is that, were you apprised of the ongoings? Was there a proper turnover, formally or informally? O alam
That-
nyo na yan, may stock knowledge na kayo dyan.
I said, Mr. Chair, that there was a 15-minute coffee and that was all, except to say that I should not have taken the post.
Regret having taken the post. May question kami sa inyo. The committee has been asking the LTO for the submission of relevant documents, but the LTO has not complied with the request of this Blue Ribbon Committee. You came from the Senate, you know the subpoena powers of this committee. When will you submit the documents being asked by this committee?
That was relayed to me yesterday, Your Honor. And so the most I could do was ask the budget and the finance to join us here. Because of yesterday, I was also in a Senate hearing, and all I did was to text the people to come here to be present at least for lack of material time, Your Honor.
The documents, one of the documents being asked is LTO's contract with the current IT provider, Dermalog. Can you provide us that copy? Today,
Current contract with
Dermalog.
I have no copy of the Dermalag contract, Your Honor.
Who has a copy? That's a contract between LTO and Dermalog. And you're supposed to be the caretaker of LTO. So who has the copy? This is a public document.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
This is a public document.
Yes, the LTO has a copy and we will find a way to produce it today, Mr. Chair.
What's your name? What's your name?
Attorney Rainier Yebra po, Mr. Chair.
Please produce that document.
Mr.
Grace po.
Chair, kawawa naman si Acting Secretary Villacorta. Parang he's left to, parang flying blind dito eh. Almost like wishing him failure, or I don't know what happened to in the past, but I don't know. I mean, you're basically, we work with you and we know you're credible, but unfortunately, this is almost like a snake pit, the LTO, and I was wondering what previous background do you have, acting secretary, for you to be able to hurdle all of these challenges? Do you have any knowledge at all with the LTO, or probably worked there before, or who can you trust now to do the transition for you? Because we want you to succeed.
I've been meeting with the division chiefs on a daily basis, and I know that the problems now are, the twin problems are IDs and plates. On IDs, I have been meeting every day on the providers, on Aponeda, on a possible private provider, and we are going to already sign an A2A agreement so that Aponeda can purchase within a month as to the at least 200,000 ID cards, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Chair, well and good that the acting secretary is now doing his best to catch up. But the very basic question of a Dermalog contract, attending a hearing that is based on Dermalog and their agreement with the government, he has no knowledge about that contract. I think is also very disheartening. I wish him the best, but it seems like he was really thrust into the lion's den here. And I hope that there will be those in the LTO who have institutional knowledge of this who will really cooperate. And I think part of also the responsibility of accepting a position in government is to be able to provide a smooth transition to the next administration. So I think that in the next hearing, I would very much want to hear with the past secretary about his own experience in the LTO, what needs to be done so that we can improve on it. I'm quite disappointed that he wasn't able to make it today, and also Dermalog in particular. If they're not hiding anything, they should be ready to speak up and defend themselves. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Grace. The committee notes the absence of the critical witnesses here, but during the next hearing, we will endeavor to have them their attendance. So,
Mr. Chair.
Senator JV.
Anyway, I commend the chair for calling this hearing right away because, you know, the Blue Ribbon is really about accountability so that these mistakes would not happen again. Kaya lang nakakalungkot, Mr. Chair, halos lahat ng tinatanong natin, no? All of these issues that we're asking, nobody can answer. Although, most of the officials here in front of us only assume a year, and most of these contracts and decisions were made prior, but alam nyo naman po kung ano ang pag-uusapan ngayon eh. You should have researched. Dapat alam nyo po ito, it's your agencies are involved. Dapat alam nyo po yung nobody can answer. Yung historical data, wala kayo para namang Mr. Chair, this is already the Blue Ribbon Committee and you did not come prepared. It's really, it's really, sorry, pero medyo nakakainis kasi wala tayong nakukuha. We're just wasting our time. But Mr. Chair, in lieu of that, I move that all of these past officials of the LTO be invited, if some DOTR officials as well, who have knowledge when these contracts were signed or these packages were given or awarded, yung sa Dermalog especially, and other what we are talking about, siguro, so that we can get some answers. But nonetheless, it's still no excuse. Sorry po, para me, but I think that the DOTR officials and the LTO officials should have done their homework, Mr. Chair. Dapat alam nila history. We're just wasting time here. Sasabihin, hindi nila alam, kaka-assume ko lang ngayon, nung gantong buwan, wala pa ako alam. That's not acceptable, Mr. Chair. So, hopefully next hearing, Mr. Chair, that all of these people, especially from Dermalog and the LTO officials involved during those times, will be here. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator JB. The committee secretariat is directed to issue the necessary invitations for the next hearing. So directed, we recognize the arrival and the presence of Senator Robin Hood Padilla. The minority leader is recognized.
Yes, ang suggestion ko nga sana, Mr. Chairman, dun sa point ni Senator JV, let subpoena be issued to all of them, not an invitation letter, Mr. Chairman. Isubpoena na po lahat yon, yung lahat ng hindi pumunta ngayong araw at saka yung mga past leaders or heads of the LTO. Subpoena na po, hindi po invitation letter.
There is a motion here coming from Minority Leader to have a subpoena ad testificandum be issued to those who are absent.
I second, Mr. Chair.
There is a second.
I second.
No objections on the part of the members of the committee. The necessary subpoena ad testificandum will be issued to the former heads of the LTO as well as the absent private sector representatives here, primarily the officials of Dermalog. So direct. Senator Pimentel?
Yes, one point lang, sir, kasi so that we will see the overall setup of government. May I ask the Secretary, ano po bang relationship ng DOTR sa LTO? How much control do you have over the agency? Can you replace the decisions of the LTO chief? Can you discipline him directly? Kasi mukhang lumalabas po sa mahabang panahon.
President can discipline.
Parang sa haba ng panahon, parang headless chicken sila, or they can afford to be a headless chicken and no other chicken or mama hen or can take over, Mr. Chairman. May I ask the Secretary?
Secretary, before you proceed, let me remind you of the sworn statement you just signed yesterday, number 7 thereof. You can answer now.
Thank you, Your Honor. No? LTO is a sectoral office of the Department of Transportation. No? We have the oversight function over their operations. No? We can instruct or we can give orders to them. No? But in terms of disciplining the office, the head, no? It's the president of the Philippines that can discipline, no? Not the Secretary of Transportation. Your Honor.
Okay, can the Secretary replace the decision of the LTO chief? Overrule and replace.
Yes, Your Honor. The Secretary can overrule the decision of the Assistant Secretary of LTO.
Yes, and then use his own judgment to be to replace the judgment of the LTO chief. So that means that the LTO can never be or can never amount to a headless chicken. Kasi even if it acts like a headless chicken na walang leader, for example, o nagwawala ito, ang decisions nito are questionable, by direct action of the Secretary, he can impose order in the LTO. Tama po ba yun, Mr. Secretary?
But whether or not they will obey the orders.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, generally speaking, yes. So ganun pala. So ultimately, the buck stops with the Secretary of the Department of Transportation. So I hope that we realize that today, Mr. Secretary, kasi medyo ang daming ng issues actually or reklamo against the LTO. At kung meron mang happy, let's say meron mang happy na nag-transact sa LTO, yung mga sumasabog na mga contracts, mga allegations ng katiwalian sa LTO. So I hope that from now on, now that we have made this very clear that the LTO is really under not only the supervision of the DOTR Secretary but under the control of the DOTR Secretary, I hope order, discipline, direction, and clarity will now return to the LTO, and the Secretary of the Department of Transportation will make sure that that happens. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Pimentel, is the implication of Senator Pimentel's questioning is that the good secretary should now be more assertive and perhaps overrule, if needed, the decisions made by the LTO? Na kayo raw po ay pwede nyo nang palitan yung desisyon ng LTO kung sa tingin nyo ay hindi tama bilang secretary. Baka yun ang diretsong tanong siguro ni Senator Pimentel. Hindi naman nagtanong si Senator Pimentel na mag-cite kayo ng instances na in-overrule nyo at pinalitan nyo yung desisyon ng LTO.
Tama po. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Senator J.
Mr. Chair, before we move on, I'm hoping really that yung Dermalog can really be present next time because just on a hindsight, Mr. Chair, parang since 2003, 2001 until lately, nung bumasok tong bagong system, parang wala naman tayong naririnig na problema eh. Now that dumadami, license plates, plate number, license cards, plate numbers, tas ang gulo-gulo ngayon ng LTO. When ang gusto natin malaman, Mr. Chair, next hearing, what what really was the rationale or the logic behind the change, no, from the former provider, na parang hindi naman kinakampi ako pero parang wala ako narinig kasi Mr. Chair, na problema noon na mga ganito. Ngayon lang lumalabas lahat ito. Kumbaga LTO is tried to fix a system that was not broken. Yun ang nangyari. Parang ganun. So we would like to find more answers to that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator JB. Rest assured that we will be inviting Dermalog. The committee will allow the Council of Dermalog, although you're not supposed to speak. Nasisigurado mo ba na yung mga principal mo na nasa Germany ngayon ay darating na? Can you remove your face mask? Okay naman lahat dito. Oh. Okay lang kami rito. So, yung principal niyo po nasa Germany, kailan babalik? And the head of the branch office is the council? Is there a branch manager here? Project. Please provide the committee secretariat the address and the correct telephone number of the branch manager. Thank you, council. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I please make a manifestation?
Recognize the presence of virtual presence of Senator Rafi Tulfo. Who is trying to speak? Attorney
Iebra po, Mr. Chair.
from LTO,
From DOTR po, Mr. Chair.
DOTR.
We would like to manifest, Mr. Chair, that the requested copy of the contract has already been emailed to the Blue Ribbon, and we will submit a hard copy tomorrow, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you for that swift action. Senator Tulfo, you've been following this line of questioning. But before we ask you to ask questions, Senator Padilla, do you have any? Senator Padilla is giving way to seniority. Senator Tulfo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, I'm kind of late kasi we're 3 hours late, from 4 hours late from where I am right now. Pero nafa-follow ko po yung topic ninyo, is more about corruption.
Are you in Germany, Senator Tulfo? Nasa Germany po ba
Mr.
kayo?
Chair, dito po ako sa Dubai.
Sa
But I'll be
Dubai.
there.
I thought Germany kasi yung hinahanap namin Dermalag nasa Germany. Baka pwede mo nang habulin dyan. Senator Tulfo, you have the floor.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Tatanong ko lang sana, Mr. Chair, because I went to LTO office, this was a month ago or so, and meron po ako na-notice na katiwalian doon. Yung pong sa third-party liability, tatanong ko lang po sana kung na gawa na po ba yung request ko na itigil na po yung pagsisingil ng TPL sa lahat po ng mga nagpaparegister ng mga sasakyan, whether meron na po silang comprehensive or wala. Kasi po, that's source of corruption na magcha-charge ng third-party liability insurance kahit na po nakapagbili na sila ng comprehensive insurance. So yan po ba ay natupad na? Kasi nung when I was there sa LTO, I was promised na ititigil na po nila yon.
Senator Tulfo went to the Quezon City LTO. He was able to talk to the then LTO head, and he was promised that this practice would be stopped. So Senator Tulfo is now asking whether that was complied. Anybody from LTO? Including the person who can overrule the LTO? Who can answer?
Thank you,
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor. The TPL po is a requirement under the law, no? The third-party liability insurance, no? That's why LTO is requiring this coverage before a car is registered, no? So, kailangan po.
Yung tinatanong ni Senator Tulfo, baka merong nakakahon na TPL insurance companies na take it or leave it, pag-rehistro mo, kasama na rin yung TPL.
Comprehensive na po. Kung
Senator Tulfo is recognized to clarify.
Mr. Chair, okay. Kasi in my case, halimbawa, Mr. Chair, yung mga sasakyan ko, meron pong comprehensive insurance coverage yun. Pero still, LTO would still oblige me to buy a TPL insurance. Kahit na meron na po akong comprehensive, and that happens to everybody, kahit na po sino, kapag sila po ay magpa-register ng kanilang sasakyan, kahit na sila po ay bumili ng comprehensive insurance, kailangan pa rin nilang bumili ng TPL kasi yun na po ang requirement.
Kung meron na pong comprehensive including a TPL, pwede pong hindi na kumuha ng other TPL, no? Kasi ang
po,
nangyayari po in the past, ang naging reklamo is that even if you have a comprehensive insurance coverage, no, some LTO offices are still requiring TPL, no. But since the law provides that if there is a third-party liability coverage already, so we don't need to get additional third-party liability insurance, no. So yun po, implement po namin yun, no?
So in short po, Mr. Secretary, kapag meron na pong comprehensive insurance coverage ang isa pong may-ari ng sasakyan nagpaparegister, so he doesn't have to get a TPL, third-party liability, na binibenta po sa paligid ng LTO. Nire-recommend ng mga tauhan dyan sa LTO. In fact, sinusulat po na sa kapirasong papel, dito ko pumunta para sa yung TPL, and then of course, alam naman na natin, yung nirecommend nilang TPL, usually fly-by-night o kakonsyaba sila o negosyo po ng ilan sa mga taga-LTO yon.
Yes, Your Honor. Basta may comprehensive po na insurance coverage, no? Pag may comprehensive po, that also includes TPL, no? So hindi na po kailangan ng separate TPL, no?
Okay, isa pa po. Follow up po, Mr. Chair. Okay, Mr. Secretary, na-check niyo na ho ba yung pinapayagan ninyo, in-authorize nyo na magtinda ng TPL sa lahat ng nagpaparegister sa LTO? Kasi some of them are fly-by-nights, what we call fly-by-nights, na kapag dumating na yung time, kailanganin silang singilin, mag-file ng claim, yung pong policy holder, tumatakbo po or wala po na ibibigay, or sometimes meron man pero inaabot po ng siyam-siyam.
Your Honor, ang ang policy po ng LTO is to get the TPL coverage only from accredited insurance companies, no? Hindi po lahat ng insurance companies are accepted by LTO, no? Meron pong accredited insurance company, no? And this is in coordination po with the Insurance Commission.
Okay. Isa pa po, Mr. Chair. Okay. Yung pong sa eye exam, isa pa po yung sa katiwalian na akin po napansin when I visited the LTO office in Quezon City.
What's that again, Senator Tulfo? Eye exam.
Eye exam po, Mr. Chair, na nagcha-charge pa ng 500 pesos.
It's a requirement.
The exam, Mr. Secretary, I'm sure you know about that, na marami pong mga clinic dyan sa paligid ng LTO na doon po pinapupunta yung mga gusto pong mag-renew ng kanilang sasakyan, ng kanilang driver's license. And most of these eye clinics are fly-by-nights. At binisita ko po ilan sa kanila, wala pong doktor doon, meron lang po doon fixer, taga-pirma, at wala pa nga po mga instrumento, basta nagbigay ka lang 500, off you go. So, ito ho ba, nalinis na po natin, Mr. Secretary?
Under the law po, there is a requirement for a medical certificate, no, for sight and hearing, no. Yun po ang ayusin namin na dapat siguro yung charges, kasi yan po ang one of the complaints, no, medyo mahal daw yung sinisingil ng mga doctors, no. So we're even looking at the possibility of accepting medical certificates from mga hospitals po, government hospitals, no? Kasi po yan ang naging practice, bawat driver's license DLROs po, ano?
Pero Mr. Secretary, sa ibang bansa kasi katulad sa US, sa DMV, pupunta ka dun sa DMV and then merong pababasahin sa iyo yung chart, yung ABCDE 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Libre lang po yun. So why do we do that? Para hindi na po magbayad ng 500 pesos ang mga gustong magpa-renew ng lisensya o yung mga bago aplikante. Kasi in the first place, yung mga bago aplikante, kailangan po nilang pumunta po sa driving school. Doon pa lamang sa driving school, sila po yung pinagmamaneho ng sakyan. So ibig sabihin, okay po yung mata nila bago sila makapag-drive test sa LTO, makapag-exam man lang sa LTO for their driver's license. So parang redundant na po, Mr. Secretary, at dobleng gastos po yun para sa mga gustong kumuha ng lisensya.
Isa po yan sa pinag-aaralan namin. In fact, we had a meeting kanina with some directors of LTO, no? And isa nga yan sa posibleng gawin natin, no? Na baka kung babasahin mo lang naman yung mga letters, no? We don't really need an external doctor. So isa po yan. Pag pinag-aaralan po natin yan, although right now we have to comply with the requirement of the law that it requires a
Mr.
certificate.
Secretary, you can make it a requirement as per the law, what the law says. Pero pwede naman po siguro isa pong nurse o i-hire niyo po isang doktor diyan po sa LTO na siya na po ang magpapabasa doon sa mga nag-apply ng lisensya. Pabasahin mo ng A, B, C, D, E, F, G hanggang letter Z pa yan, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hanggang 50. And then pag nakita nung nag-examine na okay mata niya, then let it go. Wag na mo magbayad ng 500. Kasama na po yun dapat yung sa register niya o pag-renew niya ng driver's license niya. Ba't kinakailan pa magbayad ng another 500 pesos na yung 500 pesos na yun napupunta lamang po sa mga house show na mga clinic at iba doon ay negosyo nga po. Sabi kanina, negosyo po ng ilan sa mga tag-LTO unfortunately. So bakit po natin tanggalin na lang yan? Hindi natin tanggalin kasi dagdag pasakit lang po yan sa marami nating kababayan na yung 500 pesos po, malaking bagay rin po yan.
Opo, we were considering that, Your Honor.
Isa pa po, yung pong sa test, yung pausok, anong tawag po noon?
Emission test.
Mission.
Sa emission test. Diyan po, may racket din po yan. Bakit hindi na lang po yung LTO mag-provide niyan? Diba? Bumili na lang po kayo ng machine na para mag-provide to make sure na yung sasakyan na chine-check for emission test ay papasa talaga. Kasi pag tinuturo po sa ibang mga emission testing center, meron po mga remedyo doon para makadaya. Lalagyan ng bubuhusan lang po ng tubig o bubamba ng tubig po yung tambutso, inuutos pa po mismo. Meron po ako ebidensya, utos pa po mismo nung taga-emission testing center na buhusan mo ng tubig yung tambutso mo para pagdating sa amin, clear ka na and then magbayad ka ng gatong amount para naman nabigyan ka namin ng pabor na wala nang usok yung tambutso mo. So dapat po yan, LTO na po magsagawa niyan.
Sa ngayon po, these are being done by private companies, no? Meron tayo yung tinatawag na PETC, and meron po yung bagong system, it's called the PBMIC, no, yung Public Motor Inspection Center, no, which checks the vehicles, no, for certain defects, no. And there are around 70 checks po na ginagawa to see to it that the vehicles are roadworthy, no. So
No, sir, Mr. Secretary, no. I'm talking about the emission test na libo rin po ang binabayad na malaking tipid ho sana din yan sa mga may sasakyan. In fact, even revenue for the government para yung LTO na lang po mag-charge at mas mura pa dapat kaysa doon sa mga taga emission testing center sa labas na nagcha-charge ng mahal, and then sabi ko kanina yung iba nakikipagsabuatan pa po doon sa mga may sasakyan kahit na bulok ng sasakyan, kahit na hindi na dapat muna tumakbo. Sabi ko nga bubuhusan lang ng tubig yung tambutso and then pag pinaandar wala na pong usok.
Pwede pong pag-aralan yan. It will just require some budget, no, for the government to invest on these equipments, no.
Okay. Sige po. Salamat mo, Mr. Secretary, Mr. Chair. Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
Salamat po, Senator Tulfo. Ingat po kayo dyan. Kung wala na pong katanungan sa Secretary of Transportation, as indicated a while ago, can we now move to COA? Who is the representative of COA? Can you identify yourself, ma'am? Medyo naka-slant po yung nameplate nyo, kaya hindi ko makita eh. Matagal na po ako nag-eye check sa LTO, kaya hindi ko na mabasa. Attorney.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Attorney Melissa San Miguel Salunga, the Supervising Auditor of the OTR 1. With me is Ms. Nenita Talyon, the Audit Team Leader of LTO Sectoral Head Office.
Thank you for your presence, ma'am. One of the disturbing findings coming from your COA report, this is dated 2021, 2022. The latest.
The CAR, sir, the Consolidated Annual
Yes.
Audit Report
20
for CY 2021, sir.
2021 is is headlined as lapses in the implementation of DOTR road transportation IT infrastructure project. And you highlighted therein the acceptance of customized core applications with missing processes, and despite incomplete data migration and the consequent premature billing for maintenance, had caused undue payment to the vendor, which is disadvantageous to the government. Do you still maintain this? Was this rectified o nabago na? Nagamot na ba nila na sa tagal 2021, we're now 2023, na naayos na ba nila yung mga pagkukulang na mga nabanggit nyo? And to cite several lapses, your report indicated acceptance and payment of core applications with unresolved issues before pilot testing and implementation. Was this rectified?
Your Honor,
Sure.
the findings contained in the AOM and subsequently in the CAR will still have to be confirmed by our Information Technology Audit Office. So itong LTMS po, subject po siya ng ongoing audit ng itaw ng COA po.
Bakit niyo po nasabi na disadvantageous to the government?
Because based on our evaluation during that time po, na marami pa pong complaint doon sa system, yung mga complaint na to galing din naman po sa report ng LTO, MIDE. Despite that, nag-issue pa rin sila ng certificate of final completion, and at the same time, proceeded to paying all the core application and proceeded to the maintenance of the project, the system.
Kanina po, tinanong ni Senator Pimentel na kung pwede daw bang pwedeng maging standalone yung mga iba't ibang components. Parang ang sagot sa natatandaan ko ay pwedeng standalone. So paano nyo nasabing naging disadvantageous? Baka yung isang standalone ay pwedeng bayaran na, o yung isang standalone ay pwedeng bayaran na. Sa tingin nyo pa, dapat ba interconnected po lahat yun?
Actually, kaya din po nanghingi po kami ng assistance sa Technical Audit Office ng COA because it appears hindi nagkakasundo ang LTO management at saka yung contractor kung ano ba talaga yung deliverables ng Dermalog. Ang position kasi ng LTO through the users, may mga kulang na mga functionalities. Ang position naman ni Dermalog is completed na nila lahat ng kanilang deliverables based on the terms of preference. That's why we have asked assistance, kasi technical po yung issue, from our Technical Audit Office to determine ano ba talaga yung nasa terms of preference at ano yung na-comply or na-deliver ni Dermalog para ma-determine namin kung kailangan ba talagang issue ng audit action ito.
Dan po ma'am lalabas yung technical report ng IT po ninyo?
Dalawa po kasi yung kinakandak na technical audit ng itaw namin. So,
That ITAW, that's an acronym for what?
itaw stands for Information Technology Audit Office.
Dalawa yung kinakandak ngayon.
Na
Kailan po
audit.
matatapos?
Yung isa po ay contract review. Supposedly, tatapos na siya this mid-2023. At yung isa naman po by year-end, November to December po.
So mauna yung isa.
Opo.
And that would be available likewise to your team when it is completed?
Yes, sir.
Can this committee be provided a copy of that? Although hindi kami technical, hindi namin naintindihan kasi yung technical, pero naunawaan din naman namin pag hindi uubra. At,
Sir,
oho.
kapag lumabas na po yung report, kasi kami din po ang i-exit conference naman din yun sa management, i-include din po yun sa CAR po. So, po-provide din po yun sa public. And we will provide you po, sir, kapag na comply na namin yung mga procedural requirements, like kailangan muna namin i-discuss yun sa management before it goes to public.
So, yung sinasabi niyong hindi pa kumpleto, meron bang relasyon ito sa dating IT provider, yung Stratcom, kagaya ng natanong ni Senator J.V. Ejercito kanina? Hindi ba lumalabas ngayon na parang baka yung ibang datos hindi na ibigay sa Dermalog ng Stratcom o hindi naman nagagamit ng LTO? May connection ba yung dating service provider?
Yes, sir, malaki po yung kinalaman niya doon sa difficulty ng LTO para fully utilize yung system, kasi ang based dun sa report, yung mga data, historical data na kailangan sa processing ng mga transaction ay hindi pa naka-incorporate kasi hindi pa nagkaroon or hindi pa kumpleto yung data migration.
Banggit kasi kayo sa report nyo na parang terminal phase-out report ng Stratcom sa LTO.
Yes, sir.
Yun ba hindi naman na i-turn over sa bagong service provider? Kasi kung ganun, wala na tayong turnover ng nagsisimula lagi tayo sa umpisa. Wala na tayong matatapos nito. Every time there is a new service provider, simula ka uli from scratch. Ganun po ba ang nangyari dito?
Yes, sir, ganun po. Kasi po yung turnover nila ng data is, since nagte-turnover sila pero may pumapasok pa rin na data kasi ang processing ng transaction ay, anong term doon? Sabay. So nakabukas pareho yung, as I understand it, nakabukas pareho yung parallel po yung paggamit ng system. So pag pinrocess yung isang transaction, ang understanding po namin is kailangan gamitin si Stratcom at kailangan din gamitin si LTMS.
Lalong tumagal, sino ang kawawa dito? Ang taong bayan. So sino ngayon ang may kasalanan sa punto ng COA? LTO, Dermalog, Stratcom, COA. Sino may kasalanan nito? Ang kawawa dito yung taong bayan.
Sir,
Hindi nila naintindihan bakit nagkulang-kulang yung lisensya, sabay-sabay pala yung sistema na hindi nag-uusap tapos walang proper turnover. Diba ho, ma'am?
Sir, sa pag-attend namin ng mga meetings, siguro kailangan po talaga lang mag-agree si LTO, Dermalog at saka si Stratcom kung paano yung turnover nung mga data po.
Hindi nagkasundo silang tatlo?
Talaga pong mahihirapan na mag-fully utilize po ang LTMS.
Tapos bayad naman ng bayad ng gobyerno, wala nangyayari.
Actually po, ang binabayaran na lang ngayon ng LTO sa Dermalog ay yung maintenance po.
Nabayaran na rin yung final 20% na parang kulang pa na ng 20%?
Hindi pa po, sir. 5 years po yung maintenance. Actually, nag-start yung maintenance ng 2021. 2019 po, 5 years. So, actually, yun po yung basis ng aming findings na advance payment, na parang it appears na nagkaroon ng advance payment. Kasi ang position po ng audit team is dapat 2020 pa po ang start ng advance payment. Ay, ng maintenance.
Yung 75 pesos na binabayad naman ng yung taong bayan na nagbabayad ng 75 pesos, saan napupunta yan?
Yung para po sa IT service po sa Stratcom po.
Yung 75 pesos?
Yung iba-iba po yung amount ng IT.
LTO, ano yung 75 pesos na binabayad?
Alam po.
Service fee? Saan napupunta yun? LTO, can anybody answer this? Parang crying in the wilderness tayo. Saan napupunta yung 75 pesos?
Wala po kami sa COA, wala po kami na 75 pesos na fee po.
Saan napupunta yon? Kasi usually, ang binabayad dyan, 100 pesos. Baka wala ng suklim, 25 pesos. 75 pesos. Meron 75 pesos eh. Do your research. Babalikan ko mamaya yon. So, COA, Do you maintain your findings here na sa hanggang ngayon, komplikado pa ito dahil hindi nag-uusap si Dermalog, LTO, and Stratcom?
Yes, sir.
And the only solution is for the three heads to talk.
Yes, sir.
And who will initiate the dialogue here? The one in charge?
Actually, sir, nag-start na sila ng discussion, I think early this year or late last year po.
Any update on this, Secretary Bautista? Nag-uusap naman pala eh.
With the former ASEC Tugade po.
Can I add a question, Mr. Chairman? Para isang sagutan lang. Mr. Chairman, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can proceed, Senator Pimentel.
Di ba kanina merong nag-testify na technical guy from the LTO? Was that Mr. Bonsol? Yes. So, itong tanong ko, yung Dermalog software, compatible sa Stratcom software in the sense na, ito ang sense ng meaning ng compatible, in the sense na yung database ng na kayang gamitin ng Stratcom o na-generate ng Stratcom software ay pwedeng i-access at magamit ng Dermalog software? In that sense, compatible ba yung dalawang software systems?
Mr. Chairman, can I answer po?
LTO. So, pero sabi mo kanina, assume mo lang. Alam mo na to. Kanina sabi mo, you're not in a position to answer kasi nung birthday ko nung January 3 ka lang, 2022 nag-assume. So alam mo na to, kaya mo na sagutin.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Sir, yun pong the data po coming from the old IT provider po, yan naman po binibigay nila sa amin in a parang storage. And then si Dermalag naman po, nag-develop na po ng program na may i-import po niya papasok kay LTMS.
Okay, so the
All of Stratcom, yung kanina. Yung Stratcom naman, yung datos ng Stratcom.
Yun nga po yun, Your Honor. Yung pong datos po nila, once na ibigay na po sa amin, sa amin, si Dermalag po nakapag-develop na ng program para po mai-import na po, maipasok na po kay LTMS. So usable naman po yung data nila.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Turnover na sa inyo ni Stratcom? Senator Pimentel, with your indulgence?
Yes. So, sa sagot, depende na yun kung nasa turnover. Ibig sabihin nun, theoretically, ang sagot niya, oo, walang maaksayang datos or data na na-generate ng Stratcom system kasi magagamit din ito ng Dermalog system. Sa theoretical yung sagot ni Mr. Bonsol. Sa reality, na-testing na po natin yun. Na-testing na po natin sa reality sa isa sa mga core applications ng Dermalog system. Nagamit ba niya ang old data na galing naman sa Stratcom system?
May I, Your Honor? Actually po, tuloy-tuloy last year po, tsaka last year, nakapag-turnover na po sila ng data. What is remaining na lang po ngayon is data ng July 2022 up to present. Nagagamit na po. Yung mga previous transfer po nila, nagamit na po namin.
Okay.
So
at least
yung remaining na lang po is yung July 2022 of last year hanggang ngayon po.
Okay, so yan na lang, yan ang magandang balita yon, Mr. Chairman, kung walang naaksayang effort or data kasi nagagamit din. Yun na lang siguro ang tanong, bakit hindi natin turn over yung datos magmula noong July 2022? Siguro kung pwede nating masagot din yan sa ating hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Ka ng karagdagang sagot doon? Mr. Ano?
I think sir si Stratcom po can give us more information.
Kasi kung tama yung sagot mo kanina, wala rin sanang problema doon sa mga diplomatic plates. 'Di ba? Mukhang may problema doon. Kukunti lang na ang diplomatic plates. 'Di ba? Hanggang ngayon may problema tayo doon. Kung naka-interconnect na lahat 'yan, 'di ba? Ilan lang naman ang embassy natin dito sa Pilipinas. So, bakit may mga ganong aspeto pa na lumalabas na problema?
Sir, when it comes to the diplomatic plates, sir, parang I'm not really concerned pagdating sa diplomatic plates, sir. Pero ang alam ko, sir, wala kami, sir, backlog po sa diplomatic plates.
Go ahead. Your name, please.
Anthony Kiambao po, Stratcom Corp, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon po, Your Honors, and everyone else from the Honorable Offices of Government. Allow us to not have an introduction, but to just jump straight to the point po to save time, Your Honor. I'd like to take off from the issue of database, which was mentioned by several of our witnesses today, including the Commission on Audit. Thank you also for the report, which was published online. That's how we found out. So Juan de la Cruz at least knows that report of 2021. Your Honor, from February 2019 up to August 2022, we have turned over the database of the LTO IT project 9 times to signed and received by different assistant secretaries, executive directors, and or the MID chief. I believe the predecessors of Mr. Bonsol, because the LTO at that time, kung di ako nagkamali po, in 6 years had 6 different MID heads, and Mr. Bonsol is the 6th under the last administration. We have turned over the MV entities. We currently have in the data 35 roughly plus minus million motor vehicle registered entities and around 20 million driver licenses. Our database of driver licenses stopped growing because everything 100% went over to LTMS under the direction and mandate of then ASEC Galvante, which continues until today. So we have turned over all these data entities for the last 4 years now, at least 9 times, and this continues. We're supposed to turn over actually under ASEC Guadis and then under ASEC Tugade later, the next succeeding time. So for us po, Your Honors, to hear, respectfully speaking, that the database issue to this day continues to be a lingering issue. I don't want to use the word excuse, but it is the given reason where I'd like to say our respectful foreign competitor is having difficulty to roll out. It's something we don't fully understand.
Mention mo na yon. Sino yon? Sino
Sir,
yon? Sino yung foreign competitor?
The Dermalog joint venture, Your Honor. Also, allow me, Your Honor, to address the issue of the coordination and the cooperation or lack thereof, for lack of a better term po. When the Good Dermalog Consortium or joint venture, or I'm not sure if they were already a joint venture at the time po, first got awarded the driver license contract. Nahiwalay po ito sa IT. I wrote the CEO of Dermalog in Germany. This was way back po in 2017, even before the LTMS began in 2018, even before the LTMS was
Sir Gambao,
awarded. Sir.
before you proceed, I'd like to backtrack a little bit. You mentioned complete turnover, but we have data coming from COA as well as from the transcript of the House proceedings that as there was no complete turnover by Stratcom, the data migration costing 5.5 billion, although paid December 2020. There was an incomplete data migration. Can you confirm this? Sa House lumabas ito, and then from the COA report. This was So kung naka 9 times na kayo, pasok ba yon? 14 December 2021?
Yes, Mr. Chair. We have given in full all the data entities. Tama po yung sabi po ni Mr. Bonsol. We were supposed to turn over the remaining after, because the last turnover was August 2022. So by quarter kasi po ginagawa. We were supposed to turn over July 2022 until today at the next succeeding transmittal. There was a little confusion because when the Honorable Asek Guadis was replaced by Asek Tugade, so we, Asek Tugade and LTO, rightfully naman po, convened some meetings naman with the ICT, and that began only December last year. Under this new po committee, joint committee, LTO, DICT, and even DOJ, we, and Dermalog and us, this, we took it po as the new parang rebirth of the cooperation period. Only in December 2022, modesty aside, it's already very late, but parang better late than never or something. So we just did our best to assist po. Unfortunately, that committee work also was superseded by the House committee hearings. So naging joint na po. So everyone in the committee just gave individual commitments, which to this day we're still trying to keep. And in our last committee hearing po to the House, we committed giving the next database in full together with the historical data na yun lang po ang sinasabi by all na yun lang pong kulang by this coming June 30. Actually, we're targeting to even
June 30 of this year.
of this month po. We're targeting to even beat June 30 by 1 week or even more to the best that we can.
So that will be the 10th turnover, the
This will-
final turnover.
Yes po, this will be the 10th turnover, Mr. Chair. Also, that's different from the previous turnovers because this turnover contains the historical transaction of each record. Kasi po dati, when we turn over the vehicle, kompleto po, name and everything. Kaya lang po, the previous 6 or 7 times that that specific entity record registered with LTO, parang yun pang hindi pa included. Kasi po, this is supposed to be subject to the joint meetings, which unfortunately, for whatever reason, our counterparts in Dermalog, I mean, meeting lang, wala eh. For whatever reason.
Pinahirapan kayo ng Dermalog?
No, more like walang reply, walang sagot to letters, to emails, to requests for info.
But
For
during the
whatever
next hearing, you will be requiring the presence of Dermalog. Andito yung council. So, clarify natin yan, sir. Magkakaharap kayo ng Dermalog.
Yes, thank you po, Your Honor.
And you can proceed kung saan kita napatigil kanina. You were telling something about, what was that?
The historical data and other data entities. This will be the most, I would say, complete submission. So we'd like to keep our word. Kahit sino pong assistant secretary, because our client is the Land Transportation Office. Kahit sino pong administration, kahit sino pong secretary, kahit sino pong LTO assistant secretary, whether we're required by the Senate or by the Congress, we will always comply because our government is our client. And we have been, since the very beginning, supportive of everything our client has done. We have gone through every legal and political difficulty. We have seen our revenues diverted into inappropriately into the treasury or something like that. We have seen our contract questioned at least 20 times in as many number of years by iba-ibang administrations po. We have seen our office even raided one time. And I think some of you might have seen that on YouTube. It made some headlines. And yet here we are remaining faithful. Since the beginning po, as Senator JV said na nag-start 2003, we have helped the government process, automate collection for the national government, 320, like approximately billion pesos that has passed through our system as collection for government. We have not cost a single centavo of taxpayer money. Not a single centavo of taxpayer money. When people say that we are paid by computer fees, rightfully so. If we are not paid by computer fees, if we are paid by taxpayer money, even Juan de la Cruz who doesn't have a car has to pay for LTO system. even Juan de la Cruz, who's based abroad and doesn't know how to drive and already live.
Reply to my query.
Yes po, sorry.
Sabi sa akin ni Senator Padilla, wag mo daw pagalitan ng gobyerno eh. Sagutin mo lang yung katanungan. So, next hearing, magkakaharap kayo ng Dermalog. You better be present likewise. Mr. LTO, yung kanina, I'm now citing COA report. Yung COA report, and I quote, the DLS has been rolled out to 204 LTO sites nationwide. However, several DLS transactions have yet to be processed in LTMS. 4 open issues with high severity on the functionality of the DLS relates to special vehicles, diplomats, and OFW transactions, as well as certification of license. So OFW, diplomats, ito yung nabanggit ko kanina. Kaya sabi ko babalikan kita. Any comment on that?
Sir, actually sir, yung mga na-mention nyo pong mga issues sir, na-address na po namin yan sa version 2.5.1, yung pinaka-latest release po.
At?
I think March 25 po sir,
This year?
2023. Yes sir.
Okay. Salamat.
Apo.
Stratcom, do you still claim that LTO has pending arrears?
Yes po, I think
Yes or no lang, huwag mo nang pagalitan ng gobyerno.
sorry po.
No.
Yes po. Yes.
Yes. Because?
Well, this is for the previous period po, Mr. Chairman. This is for the period of February 2013 until December 2016. At medyo malaki po kasi umabot ng 9.4 plus billion pesos
Nagbigay
po.
pa kayo ng interest doon, di ba? Pwedeng
We-
bawasan na natin yung interest, tulungan na lang natin ng LTO para, di ba?
We don't charge interest, Your Honor.
Bakit lumobon? Para matulungan natin ang LTO, magamit na nila yung pera para ma-improve yung facilities nila. Yung sinasabi ni Senator Tulfo, magkaroon ng eye clinic, magkaroon ng iba't ibang amenities, di ba?
In fairness po, Your Honor, 5.15 na lang po out of the 9.4 plus. So we were paid partially in 2019 and then again po in 2021.
When do you expect to be fully paid?
We wish perhaps po, Your Honor, the Secretary and the Department of Budget Management can best answer po, Your Honor.
Thank you. I see some of my colleagues raising their hands. So, Senator Tulfo, and then with the permission of Senator Pimentel, medyo malayo si Senator Tulfo eh. Baka mawala ng connectivity. Senator
Thank you,
Tulfo, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Tatanong ko lang sana, Mr. Chair, if it hasn't been asked yet, I would like to ask Dermalog kung pwede ba natin ipatawag yung kanilang...
Senator, wala po dito yung Dermalog ngayon.
Okay.
How yung about council lang nandito ng Dermalog.
Yung partners po ng Dermalog, doon po sa kanilang joint venture. Ito po
partners are... Sino-sino ba yung partners?
Microgenesis, Verizontal Builders Incorporated.
Genesis, Holy Family, Microgenesis, Verizontal. Are you here?
Builders.
Verizontal.
Yes, Your Honor.
What about Holy Family? Wala rin? So, Microgenesis. Abroad. So, Verizontal, are you willing to answer some questions from Senator Tulfo? Answer is yes. Your
Yes,
silence means yes. Senator Tulfo, you can ask questions.
Okay, since nasa Germany po, Mr. Chair, yung Dermalog...
Dito po kaharap namin si Verizontal Builders.
So,
partner po ni Dermalog.
Okay, Verizontal, maybe you can shed lights into this anomaly. At meron siguro kayong pwedeng masabi tungkol din sa pinag-uusapan natin ngayon. Ano pong reaksyon ninyo? Kanina pa kayata kayo silent dyan. Wala akong nagtatanong sa inyo. So ano po yung inyong makukontribute, yung inyong presence dyan ngayon? Ano po yung inyo pong gustong sabihin tungkol sa usaping ito ngayon?
Your Honors, Mr. Chair, basically, we're the joint venture partner of Dermalog on the electromechanical and civil works component, 25%. And out of this time, we have an existing case against them. So,
kinasuhan nyo si Dermalog?
Yes.
Bakit?
Non-payment of the complete deliverables that we provided
Although
through
this
the
is sub
contract.
judice, ano na ang
Yes.
status nito?
Is still on, can I call or
Yes,
counsel?
hindi,
Yes, sir.
sagutin mo muna rin yung
Apo.
tanong ni Senator Tulfo.
So basically, we are on the civil works component and electromechanical. We completed the project on time. We completed the project on time. As a matter of fact, there's acceptance. And as a matter of fact, we completed the project without the down payment. We front-loaded all the expense on the project.
Hindi ako ang abogado mo, pero sumulat ka ba sa LTO na wag mo nang bayaran ng Dermalog dahil may utang sa inyo?
There are some legal procedures that was done, Your Honor. That's why we reached the court.
Okay. Can you complete your answer kay Senator
Mr.
Tulfo?
Chair, dapat yung performance po nila, it should not have affected the performance even though they have a case against Dermalog.
Your Honor, there's no coordination meeting, so therefore we are really blind on the other components of the project. We're really focused on the electromechanical.
Tagalogin ko yung tanong ni
Apo.
Senator Tulfo. Hindi lang niya madiretso. Hindi ka nagkaunsihan kayo ng Dermalog?
I invoke my right, Your Honor. Mas malapit.
Anong sagot po doon? Opo o hindi po?
Pretty obvious.
Paano nangyari yan?
As again, Your Honor, the component that we completed has already been paid by the government, but the share was not fully paid to us. We're the Filipino partner, and they use our NFCC, Net Financial Contracting Capacity, among others. All other details, again, there's a court, active court litigation.
Nagkaunsihan daw to, kaya ganon. 11.
11 yan. Nagka-11. Siguro, Mr. Chair, sa
Lahat ito.
susunod na hearing.
Hindi nyo na tinuloy yung dapat nyo pang i-deliver sa Dermalog, ganon?
Your Honor, we completed all the project, even though there are some issues. We delivered it to LTO and to the joint venture. Actually, abono kami, Your Honor.
To proof. Other questions, Senator Tulfo? Mukhang lumalalim na itong anong ito.
Kaya nga po, siguro po, Mr. Chair, kailangan natin sapina din yung other partners tulad ng Holy Family and Microgenesis sa susunod po na hearing.
Secretary is directed to do the same. Senator Tulfo, you still have the floor before we recognize Senator Pimentel.
So, Dermalog lang po ang may kulang sa contract sa ngayon. So, ito pong tatlo, okay po sila. They've been...
With the information of, for the information of Senator Tulfo, I just received a copy of the contract coming from LTO. This was dated July 2016. And hindi ko pa ho nababasa. I have to admit, signed by Assistant Secretary Galvante and the representative of Dermalog, Marivic Resuello, representative likewise of Family Printing, Microgenesis, and Versontal. Sir, do you recognize Marivic Resuello? Representative nyo, authorized representative.
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. They are our nominated representative of the joint venture.
Yes, so pumirma sila nung 2016, July, with Secretary Galvante. Comsec, make this as part of Exhibit B. Yes, Senator Pimentel, with the permission of Senator Tulfo, still has the floor.
Tungkol sa document, sir, hingin na rin tayo ng kopya ng joint venture agreement nila, sir.
Comsec, do we have a copy of the joint venture agreement? Council of, I recognize you again, Council of Dermalog, may kopya ka ng joint venture agreement? But you have a copy? Yes. It's still a public document. Thank you. Secretary is directed to secure the same from the Council of Dermalog. Senator Tulfo, you still have the floor.
Yes. Mr. Chair, kasi napapansin ko, lahat sila, itinuturo nilang kasalanan, itong mga partners, Holy Family, Microgenesis, Verizontal, yung kasalanan lahat kay Dermalog. Dapat meron din silang pag-aako doon sa nangyaring katiwalaan dito. They should be also faulted for this. Kasi nagtuturuan na sila ngayon, nagpo-Poncio Pilato, naghugas kamay po. So maybe this three, next time sa next hearing, dapat mag-isa din po ito. Dapat sila po mag-attend din, Mr. Chair.
Po, we will issue the necessary subpoena.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Senator Pimentel, you have the floor.
Yes. Just a few questions, Mr. Chairman, kasi medyo lumalalim na po ang hapon at meron tayong mga lakad ngayong gabi. Pero maganda po yung sharing nung resource person natin from Verizontal na may mga ganyan silang kasuhan, which led me to the thought, Mr. Chairman, that this may not really be a real joint venture. Kasi kung ang isang joint venture partner ay maniningil sa kanyang partner for work done, para siyang naging kontraktor nung ng principal na yon. So gaya nga nung parang issues na linabas po natin sa mga dati natin mga inimbestigahan, itong mga joint venture agreements na pinapayagan natin na magbidding po, tapos hindi pala incorporated, basta lang merong agreement na sinasubmit sa ahensya ng gobyerno. Ito po mga nangyayari, magulo, maraming katiwalian na resulta. Tapos ito nakikita natin na this is not a real partnership, Mr. Chairman. If you sue each other for work done, which is supposed to be your contribution to the joint venture entity, then something is wrong. You really did not enter into a joint venture. But that's only my insight, Mr. Chairman. And mayroon lang actually akong tanong, babalik ako kay Mr. Kiambao, sir. Mr. Chairman, sandali lang.
Mr. Kiambao,
yes.
can you answer the query of Senator Pimentel?
Yes, this is a question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Kiambao, you claim that you have arrears, still receivables from LTO. Are you not using these receivables or arrears as the reason why the turnover of the data or the databases has not been completed?
Mr. Chair and Senator Pimentel, the answer in all truth and with all due respect is no po. Senator, sir, when these revenues were withheld from us way back from Feb 2013 up to December 2016, we technically and legally and maybe even morally, we could have stopped the service because it was illegal, it was unjust, it was unfair, and it was almost mission impossible to continue maintaining a nationwide infra across 400 sites, emanating, serving at that time almost 100,000 transactions per day, and taking care of all our 400 organic and 300 outsourced people and suppliers and capital expenditures, power, telco. It's not like Globe and PLDT were giving us a discount. Nobody
sir.
gave us anything, and we continue to support po at that time. How much more now po that the last administration, despite all continuing issues, kahit papano po, was fair and kind enough to insert sa mga unprogram. Kaya po,
Correct, yes.
nabawasan yung 9 po.
Mr. Kiambao, let me cut you. Napansin ko nga yan na sa unprogrammed appropriations, merong amounts doon made supposed to be for the payments to Stratcom. At nung sa budget process, tinanong ko po yun. I remember ang sagot sa akin, fully paid na dapat kayo or fully paid na kayo. So you're telling me now that you still have, from your computation, you still have receivables or arrears due from LTO in the amount of more than 5 billion pesos. Is that your position, Mr. Kiambao?
Yes po, sir. And I think it is also verified mutually by LTO, DOTR, and,
Yes.
and everyone concerned po.
Sa budget process, sir, I will revisit this topic sa budget process. Okay. But as of today, how much has the government paid Stratcom for your for your information for your IT system? Magkano na po ang natanggap ninyo?
Sir, are you talking from the very beginning?
From the very beginning, yes, sir.
I will have to get back on our financial statements, but if we talk of from the very beginning, it's also a lot, sir, because we charge based on our contract, based on a bid on a per transaction. From the very beginning, I would say from the escrow, and this should be easily verified also by DOTR LTO. Perhaps, kung di ako nagkamali, sir, at least 25 to 30 perhaps. We're talking since Feb 2003. So we're talking of 20 years po. I would say maybe 30 plus perhaps from the escrow. That is what the LTO has processed for us.
30
30 plus
billion-
maybe
billion
30
pesos.
billion or so, or maybe 28 or 29. Can we get
so,
to you
yes,
and give more accurate figures po?
because I will revisit this subject matter during the budget process. So, since February 2003, more or less, more than 30 billion pesos has been paid to Stradcom, and yet, as of today, Stradcom is still claiming that government owes it around more 5.1 billion pesos, more or less. Okay, so
Sir, may I, Mr. Chair, may I
Yes.
clarify it?
Clarify what?
The statement po about the government payment.
Yes, yes.
Actually, Senator, sir, Mr. Chair, the government basically LTO processed through the escrow account, but it is actually not government money. It's not taxpayer money because we charge, as we said po, because we are a PPP project, we actually cost the national treasury absolutely zero. So when we say that when somebody says the government paid us, it's actually the government processing it through the escrow account, which is provided very clearly in our concession agreement po, which is covered by Republic Act 6957 as amended by Republic Act 7718. So taxpayer money, we actually cost one De La Cruz absolutely zero. And that has been so for the last 20 years. Kasi yun po yung beauty of a BOT or BOO project.
yes, Mr. Kiambao, the government collected and then should now remit to you the amount. So ganyan din that's also the story of the 5 billion plus pesos that you are claiming, di ba? That has been paid for by the users of the system and collected by the government through LTO and then surrendered to the general fund. Tama po ba yan? Or to the escrow account?
Sir, contractually, it should go to the escrow account.
Yeah,
The
okay.
remaining 5 is part of the 9.44 that was, pardon the word po, I know there are a lot of lawyers here po, Mr. Chair and senators, but that was inappropriately diverted to the National Treasury na dapat sa escrow. That began Feb 2013. It only stopped in December 2016. Kaya po, unlike our contractual fees for the past 20 years, ito lang po ang nire-request from the National Treasury. Kasi ito lang po ang wrongly diverted into the National Treasury. Then, way back in Feb 2013 up to December 2016. But it stopped in December 2016, sir. From beginning December 2016 onwards, it began to be remitted properly, contractually, and lawfully back into the escrow account. So what we are collecting for is the period between Feb 2013 and December 2016. Yun lang po yung erroneous act at that time po.
Okay, so I will have, anyway, Mr. Kiambao and Mr. Chairman, we can always revisit this during the budget process, this claim of Stratcom, because I have noticed that for how many years nandyan po yan sa unprogrammed appropriations. Mr. Kiambao, for 2023, meron din po no sa unprogrammed appropriations?
Yes, sir. we again thank the government for the partial collections of 2019 and 2021. We notice in the national budget for this year there's an unprogram of 2 billion. We hope to collect it kasi tama lang naman po, and it's really for a previous old period. We recall that the government, DOTR, LTO, they were also nice and kind enough to put a 1.8 in 2017, but that was never released. There was
Okay.
also a 2 billion unprogram in 2018, but that was never released. Siguro for other priorities of government. And then 2019, yun lang po partial release. Tapos pagdating ng 2020, as understandable by anyone, nagka-COVID, di ba po? And I think our people really, talagang it was a very difficult time and we had to prioritize giving food to our people, so we respect government for that. So hopefully lang this year, talagang makaka-release. Kasi
Final question, Mr. Chairman, on that matter. Pag mabayaran yung 2 billion, that would now be charged to the 5.1 billion that you are claiming. Tama po? To be just very clear about this.
Yes po, it is now 5.15. If we deduct 2, we'll just have 3.15. Sana po, kasi if we reach next year, more than a decade na since it began in Feb 2013, at medyo hirap po eh. With all due respect to everyone and to even our German counterparts, again po, with all due respect, di ba masakit po? We've been serving for 2 decades and we've had revenues unlawfully withheld. I wish we are the ones receiving advance payments, but that is not the case. And yet here we are still in service. So yun lang po. Thank you po, Senator. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So, Mr. Chairman, at least yung time na nabigay natin sa subject matter na ito, hindi po ito masasayang at magagamit na po natin yung exchanges natin dito sa budget process po natin. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to our resource persons.
Thank you, Mr. Kiambao. Just be patient. I think Secretary Bautista has nothing to do with this kasi 2003, piloto pa to ng Philippine Airlines siguro noon. Wala pa to sa ano. So before we proceed, I'd like to focus just on 2 questions. Securities and Exchange Commission, we'd like to avail of your attendance here as well as BIR. Ito, nagkaroon ng joint venture. Si joint venture ba ni-register sa SEC? Yes or no? No? Bakit hindi? Walang batas? O anong ruling ninyo doon?
Sir, I believe for this particular case po, the only dermalog registered with us is the one given with the license to operate the foreign corporation. But as to the joint venture, if we may be given the name of the joint
Nabanggit
venture.
na po kanina, Holy Family, Versontal, as well as Dermalog, and then another one, ano yung isa? Microgenesis.
I believe, sir, based on our records, the joint venture is not registered with the SEC.
Do you require joint ventures to be registered?
Sir, only when they form a partnership or a corporation.
Ito, billion ito eh. Ganito rin yung nangyari doon sa laptop investigation namin. Joint venture, hindi na-register. Tapos nung nagkagulo-gulo na ito, nagkaunsihan, hindi na natin matrack ito. So, do you require joint ventures to be registered?
Sir, only when they form a partnership or corporation, because we understand that joint venture is a contractual agreement between corporations.
Don't you have a monitoring team na minomonitor, nag-joint venture ito? Hindi ba nagre-report yung mga corporation na we entered into a joint venture agreement?
Sir, they are not required to submit the contractual agreement to the SEC. So, I believe, sir, baka there's a need, especially with the yun nga po, cases on joint venture with having a contractual relationship with the government, maybe there's a need to review the rules on government contracts as to whether it will be
Procurement law. So
But-
ngayon, walang registration ng joint venture.
Yes, sir. Only it's the prerogative of the parties to the agreement whether they want.
Voluntary na lang. We'll
Yes, sir.
file a bill concerning that. Salamat,
Opo,
SEC. BIR. Si joint venture nagbabayad ng tax?
Your Honor, under tax laws, joint venture is taxable as a corporation, except it is if it is a partnership or a joint venture for construction, or to be engaged in petroleum, coal. These are the only two tax exempt joint ventures.
So paano
It
nyo
being the
itatax kung
case
hindi
that
registered?
ah,
Kung hindi nga registered sa SEC, paano nyo itatax?
they are required to be registered with the Bureau of Internal Revenue because they will not be able to issue receipts.
So in this
Or,
case, Dermalog, Bersontal, Holy Family, and Microgenesis, registered with BIR.
Okay, the individual corporations are registered in their own names, and the joint venture is likewise registered with the BIR because they are the ones who are supposed to issue receipts to the consumers.
To LTO. Magkano binayad na buwis?
I don't know if it's LTO or ano. I have not seen the nature of their contract with LTO yet, or the joint venture, or the
Yan ako ng kopya. We'll
or
provide you a copy today.
or if it is similar to the PPP with the Stratcom with the
Sec,
consumers.
can
no?
you provide a copy to the BIR? Baka
Thank you for that.
I have a copy here. So, nagbayad ba ho ng buwis?
Your Honor, this joint venture was just registered with the large taxpayers this January.
Hindi, 2016 pa tong contract.
Yeah, but we saw their tax compliance, and while we cannot detail in public the amounts that they paid, I can say generally that the joint venture paid taxes.
Generally, they paid taxes.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you were given, let the record show that the BIR was given a copy of the joint venture agreement, the contract agreement likewise between DOTR and the joint venture agreement. So hindi mo mabanggit kung magkano binayad?
We can probably do so in executive session or if subpoenaed by this
Pwede pa,
by this
pwede
body.
pa maningil? Kung sakaling kulang yung binayad, pwede niyo pang singilin?
Of course, Your Honor, they will be subjected to audit, and deficiency taxes can be assessed.
E, paano tong si, na-on si pa raw siya, sisingilin niyo rin to?
The partners or the co-venturers are registered in different district offices of the Bureau of Internal Revenue, while the joint venture is with the large taxpayer service. So the individual RDOs, I believe all of the RDOs to which the co-venturers are registered
Wala
are all
bang,
here.
wala bang withholding agent ito?
Po,
Walang withholding agent?
sila po mismo ang yung joint venture mismo ang taxpayer eh.
Oho. So hindi pwedeng ikaltas na ni LTO?
Si LTO po, titingnan ko tong kontrata kasi kung sila nagbabayad, meron po silang nire-report na withholding dito sa kontrata
So,
nila
pwedeng
dito
withholding
or
agent si
payment
LTO.
nila. So silang withholding agent. But the joint venture is also under obligation to file their respective returns.
Okay.
And these are subject to audit if
We will discuss that during the next hearing.
yes, Your Honor.
Mas pag nando na si Dermalog and the other members of the joint venture agreement.
In the meantime, Your Honors, I understand that there will be a next hearing. Can we excuse some of the RDOs of our district offices because some of our RDOs are coming from as far as Bicol
Sorry, I'm
to
sorry.
attend this
Baka hindi
meeting.
kayo makabalik agad kasi nag-aalboroto yung mayon. Di ba? So, we can dispense with the presence of the RDOs.
Apo.
So, yung head na lang, kayo na lang po yung attend. Senator Tulfo is
Yes.
raising his hand.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay. Kasi nabanggit kanina, nung SEC, hindi raw po registered yung joint venture nung tatlong company, itong Holy Family, Microgenesis, and Verzontal. Di ba dapat kapag nakipag-enter into a contract ang ating gobyerno sa isang private company na may joint venture, meron po tinatawag na solidary liability na kapag nagka-problema yung isa, or dalawa, hindi dapat maapektuhan yung performance nila, sasaluin ng isa o sasaluin ng lahat. Ang sa akin kasi pagdududa dito, Mr. Chair, baka nagdidemandahan ng kunyari mga ito para madali lang yung projects para matakbuhan po ang ating gobyerno, malugi po yung taong bayan.
Siguro, Berzontal, you can answer that. Ito ba, there is that possibility na yung sinasabi ni Senator Tulfo, baka kunyari lang kayo nagmoro-moro, nag-away-away para ma-evade yung ibang mga responsibilidad ninyo.
Your Honor, may I be acknowledged?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, Your Honors. Basically, that's why there's an active case. As a matter of fact, warrant of arrest was issued already based on its merits. So the problem being is that we are a joint venture partner, but somewhere
Warrant of arrest issued to the Germans.
to the Germans.
Kaya nagpunta na ng Germany, yung ba yan?
Then po, it was revoked, withdraw po. Then it's now in Court of Appeals.
The warrant of arrest is for someone who is in Germany. At alam niyo naman po, hindi masasabi yung warrant of arrest natin. Useless po yung warrant of arrest natin sa Pilipinas kasi nga po ang warrant of arrest natin ay nasa Germany. So yung mabalik po ako doon sa katanungan, Mr. Chair, wala ho ba tayong batas, provision sa ating batas na kapag yung ating gobyerno will enter into a contract with a private company na meron pong joint venture, dapat obligahin po lahat ng partners tapusin po yung kontrata regardless pag nagkagewang-gewang isang partner, dalawang partner, kasi sabi ko nga there's such thing as solidary liability, dapat po ipatupad po yun. Yang nangyari dito, nagka-problema po itong Dermalog at nasa Germany, itong dalawa, itinuturo ang Dermalog. It will be a very lame excuse, napakadali po na exclusion na para mailayo nilang kanilang sarili sa kanilang responsibilidad, ituturo sa ibang tao. So dapat po, sasaluin itong naiwan dalawa dito, itong tatlo, itong Holy Family, Microgenesis, Horizontal, sila po dapat ang sasalo kahit na may pagkukulang po in Dermalog. Kasi kasama po yan sa kanilang joint venture agreement, supposed to be.
Tama po kayo, Senator Tulfo. But SEC, yung tinatanong Senator Tulfo, kaya nga kailangan ng registration to have that solidary liability, joint and several obligations?
I agree, sir. Because since the case here it's not registered and it would depend on their agreement sa joint venture agreement po kung ano yung liabilities nila or
Can you comply? Can you force them to register?
at present, sir, no.
Ed,
Sir, kasi it's
ba kayo yung SEC?
yes, sir. But we understand that the corporations have the prerogative to whether if they want for their joint venture to have that permanency. Kasi sir, I think there's the difference usually for if they want to form a corporation or partnership, it would create a separate juridical entity and
Bilyon ang pinag-uusapan dito, pera ng taong bayan.
I agree, sir.
Di
So,
ba?
I believe, sir, this is a matter for the yung sa procurement, sir, rules on procurement, whether to require those joining the bidding to register because kasi sir for other corporations it would it's already within their judgment to
Mr. Chair.
form
Chair.
a
Mr. Chair.
partnership or
Tulfo? Yes.
Okay. Hindi natin naintindihan ng resource person natin nandiyan ngayon. Registered or not, dapat po pag nakipag-enter into a contract ang ating gobyerno sa isang kumpanya, it should make sure na lahat po ng kasama doon sa kumpanya na meron pong tinatawag na joint venture, mananagot. Kasi madali pong maloko ang ating gobyerno dito eh. Anybody would put up a company and then enter into a contract with the government and then makipag-joint venture kung sino-sino mga Poncio Pilato and then later on sasadya nilang guguluhin para madali yung project for whatever reason and then ituturo. Kasi yung mga partners namin nagloko eh. meron pa akong sinisingil at meron, as a matter of fact, dinidemanda ko yung partners namin dahil nagloko na, tumakbo na ng ibang bansa kung saan lugar. So nakalusot na po sila because of that. So dapat po talaga itong ating gobyerno will make sure next time, registered or not, kailangan po may close down provision na kapag ang isa sa mga partner ay nagloko, hindi nakapag-perform, sasaluin po ng ibang partners doon sa joint venture.
We take note of that. I think Secretary Bautista is listening. Forthcoming is a joint venture privatization agreement of NAIA. So siguro ang tinutukoy dyan ni Senator Tulfo, halimbawa nag-joint venture privatization ng NAIA, all the partners would have to be solidarily liable. Pero ang pinag-uusapan naman sa NAIA, ito na yung top tier ng ating mga corporations na magpa-privatize sa NAIA. So take note of that. Marami pang gusto mag-privatize ng joint venture. Yung mga airports, etc., seaports. So tama po yung kay Senator Tulfo. May dadagdag po kayo, sir? O
Last na
Your
naman po,
Honor.
Mr. Chair. Okay.
si
Your Honor,
Bersontal?
yes. Your Honor, may we clarified on the matter? The point being is that on the joint venture agreement, it clearly defines the deliverables of all parties involved on the joint venture, specifically Bersontal, the part that we deliver are the structures, because that's where we're being qualified. We are not an IT company, the electromechanical, etc. It's clearly defined on the contract. So we provided that. We turned over it to LTO. There are acceptance. As a matter of fact, the 10% retention was already being paid to the joint venture. And the problem really is that why we are finding a case that there's no disclosures on the part of Dermalog on the details of the transaction.
Pero sir, hindi naman LTO magbabayad sa inyo yung ka-joint venture nyo. Diba? Yung Dermalog.
No, ganito po in-empower namin ng Dermalog, thinking na sila German, they're a big company, na sila yung mag-split ng pie. So 25% kami and ang deliverables namin. So kasi isa lang dapat ang mangolekta. So silang in-empower namin to be the lead of the joint venture. So therefore silang magbabayad dapat sa amin.
It's now between LTO and the joint venture, the JVC. It's not between LTO and the individual members of the joint venture.
Yes, Your Honor. But the point being is
So
that
your recourse is against the joint venture,
Opo.
against Dermalog and the others.
Pero in addition to that, somewhere unilaterally tinanggal po kami sa joint venture na hindi namin alam.
Kayo ng ka-joint venture nyo.
Yes, Your Honor.
The government has nothing to do with that. LTO has nothing to do with that.
So basically, LTO accepted that fact that we are removed from the joint venture. So there are details and nitty-gritties of the case. So I think our lawyers...
Sub judice, nasa Court of Appeals na yan. I think we have exhausted a lot of factual details and a lot will be thrashed out when the other members of the joint venture group would be in attendance, as well as the former LTO heads will issue the necessary subpoena. And then other resource persons mentioned a while ago would have to be in attendance likewise. So we can get to the bottom of this and finish this. So do you want me to recognize you, counsel? Regarding the joint venture, siguro mamaya kayo na lang ang pag-uusapin ko. Ito, internal yun na yun ng joint venture eh. The lawsuit between the joint venture members is pending with the Court of Appeals. So this committee will not interfere with the judicial process. So I'll give you 1 minute. What's the pleasure of the counsel? provide this committee with the other agreements. Yes, we will accept that. We'll accept that. Senator Hercito?
Yes, Mr. Chair, probably we have exhausted almost a lot of things that we want to find out. But again, let me reiterate that what will be very crucial to get to the bottom of all of this is Dermalog and the former officials of LTO and other government officials and those part of the joint venture. So therefore, Chair, I move that we suspend hearing.
Before that, I'd like to thank all of those who took their time to be here, especially the BIR regional directors, district officers. We will dispense with your presence. The Secretary of the DOTR, the LTO family, the private sector. Thank you for your time, sir. Para sa bayan naman tong ginawa natin. Ganon din po sa mga kasama ko sa Senado na nagpakahirap ngayon kahit naka-break. Thank you for being present. So without objection on the part of my colleagues, this Blue Ribbon Committee hearing is hereby suspended. Thank you.